Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa for tonight's running of the American Esports Association Janet Watkins Memorial Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness 250. And us here at 3Wide TV are so excited to bring you this event. This is a charity race sanctioned by the American Esports Association and the American Sim Racing Series. I'm Cameron Rich here with AJ Digby in the booth and Carlos Acosta manning those cameras as always. And we have 250 laps around the 7/8 of a mile racetrack. It's going to be a fun one tonight. AJ, what are we going to see? This track is very well known for its multi-groove racing. It's progressively banked. You see the sunset out there. Have some cars out on track right now. I believe we're doing a top 10 qualifying session, so only about 10 cars are on track right now. And unfortunately, the ticker on the left is going to be wrong for us because we only see the most recent or fastest lap times, but they are going to be reset before the green flag. But definitely gonna be a fun one here tonight. A lot of hype leading up to this race. Charity races are always so fun to be a part of and always so fun to broadcast for us, and a lot of excitement around this race, and definitely gonna be exciting with these Monster Energy Cup cars racing around the Iowa Speedway. So you know, I know you've raced here, AJ. What kind of things are these drivers gonna be looking for tonight?
Yeah, lots of excitement from me for Iowa Speedway. It's a track I really like. Short oval, like you said, 7/8 of a mile. Both NASCAR and IndyCar always put on great shows here. I have actually been to Iowa Speedway before, one of the tracks I've been to, and definitely a fun track to be at. And these guys will be, its track time's currently just after 6, and these guys will be working in the nighttime too. So this track will progressively change with the progressive banking as well, and just the kind of shape and nature of Iowa Speedway. There's going to be a lot of different grooves that are available for these guys, and a lot of different ways that this track will run. Coming off of 4, you have a much with that D oval, you'll have a lot more room to kind of come up off the corner. Meanwhile, coming off of 2, obviously straightens out into the straightaway. So it's going to be a very fun night. These drivers are going to have a lot on their plates to not only try to keep their cars clean as much as possible, but to try to search for speed, because speed could be anywhere all over this track over the course of the night, and it will change probably throughout the night.
About 5 minutes to go here in the qualifying session. And one thing to note about this race, this is sanctioned by the American Esports Association, but it was open to anyone to sign up there. As you see some ridiculously high gas prices there on the screen, that actually makes me cringe a little bit, knowing paying $4 for gas. I don't think I could do that myself, but definitely we had about 33 entries for this race before tonight. 26 have showed up now, have a mixture of ASRS and a couple Sim Possible guys in there as well, both leagues that we broadcast here on 3Wide TV. So pretty cool event, and it's going to be cool to see. It's kind of like a battle of the leagues, really. It's going to be cool to see if we can who's able to win out right now. And the fastest lap time of the session right there, you see Will Worsler, one of the dominant, or one of the top drivers in the ASRS series. Don't know if he actually is the quickest car in the top 10 shootout that we are running right now, but definitely that number 29, always one to look out for in the ASRS races. So I would not be surprised if he is still at the top. But you know, definitely a lot of good drivers in this race. Right there at the bottom of the screen, you see that ticker. A lot of donations having come in already for this race, and you know, obviously, if you want to donate during the race, your name will be down there on that ticker. So, and we will call out every single donation and give you a little bit of a shout out. And it's going to be pretty cool. We have our kazoos ready for that, the signature 3Wide TV kazoo. So if you want to donate, please get involved. You know, any amount helps, and you will get a shout out and a kazoo mention right there. But going to go ahead and go through what we have right now. You see Wanda Watkins there with a $20 donation, Sean Music with a $100 donation, Judy Frank $20 as well, Sandy Foose $100, Sam Maxwell, one of the title sponsors in the ASRS League, he's donated $90, and the American Esports Association official account, I believe, is having with that $100 donation. So that's it's our current donations before the race has even started. So it's pretty cool to see that amount that we have right now, and definitely see if we can get involved. But I don't actually see any activity on the track right now with about 3 minutes to go in qualifying. I think all drivers have been pulled onto pit road, and they might be doing a bit of a driver's meeting or something. But either way, this is going to be a really exciting race, AJ. And local time right now looks like it's about 6:14, and definitely we're going to be starting with some sun in the sky, descending into darkness as this race goes on. It's going to be a bit of a long one, 250 laps, like we said, and that could go by either really quickly or it could be a bit of time there with the way that the race goes. But I think it's going to be a fun one here. These Monster Energy Cup cars are flying around this racetrack, running about 21.5-second lap times, and this, with this 2019 rules package, a lot of downforce on these cars, and quite a bit of horsepower with the engine configuration we are running. So it's going to be a fun one. But definitely, I think we are pretty well set to go green here in just a few minutes time, and it's going to be a fun night for everyone here involved. But definitely have some shout outs in the chat to give. Sign on saying Cameron, nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you tuning in. I have a couple friends of myself joining in, and I think some people from the Simpossible Racing League are going to tune in as well. So good to see the involvement there. But AJ, I got to ask you, this is kind of a long race by league racing standards. What kind of things are these drivers going to be having to look out for, as they go green here in just a few minutes time?
Well, clearly they'll need to try to keep their car as clean as possible, as straight as possible, and try to get as little damage as possible. These guys are definitely going to have to deal with Iowa Speedway itself. A track that lends to you to try to push yourself coming out of the corners and to get up into the walls, but it's also can be really loose as well. So uh, we'll have to see how this changes over the course of the night. But with such long laps, you definitely want to have a clean start. Try not to get into contact with anybody, and then just kind of get into a comfort zone. Find your groove, find your rhythm, and then just try to get it as much as possible. With 250 laps, you're hoping that there'll be a decent amount of green flag running, so that way you're not just running caution laps all the time. But being Iowa Speedway, a 7/8 mile oval, caution laps will go pretty quick as well. So there will be a pretty decent balance in there, and these guys are definitely going to want to try to improve position, have as high of a finish as possible. And if you're not in a race to win it, then why are you racing? But these guys are also have a long way to go over these 250 laps.
Yeah, and there is some prizes for our top finishers tonight. I believe our winner is going to be receiving about $124. That's split from the entry fees that were received before the race. So a lot of incentive to go out there and try to win this race. And of course, the charity event as well. The rest of the money that's not going to the prize fund going to be going straight to that charity fund for the Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Foundation. So going to be really cool to see that, and it's really, these races, even though there is a incentive to win for the top 5 drivers, or incentive to get that prize fund, really this is all about the charity, and it's going to be it's really what's on the forefront for tonight's race. But right there at the left side of your screen, see qualifying has concluded, and we'll see if we can get an accurate grid here in just a moment. We'll get that for you in due time. But you see all the cars on the pit road right now lining up, getting ready to go. Probably a lot of drivers wondering what their first moves are going to be with this long race. I believe looks like Will Worsler there has taken the pole for the event. He is on the left side, or he is on the inside row of inside of the front row, more aptly. But we're going to go through the field for you right now. Will Worsler, right there, the number 29 machine, ASRS regular. He's going to be lined up on the inside of row number 1, and next to him, number 21 of Nicholas Kahan. Row number 2, we got Jared Mogard and Sam Maxwell, a couple other ASRS regulars right there. Mitch Brown rolls off in 5th, and Jason Stewart rolls off in 6th. Corey Silva and Troy Haight roll off in the 4th row. Nick Curling and Craig Sykes are going to be rounding out your top 10, AJ.
Tyler Seville in the 11, and Jack Wells in the 06 are in row 6. Row 7 is Gregory McDougall in the 01 and Edward Bray in the 66. Row 8, Tim Knott in the 41, and Michael Trobach in the 72. Row 9, Sean Music in the 133, and Richard Stallings in the 17. Row 10, Daniel Deffler in the 13, and Jim Foose with his Ford in the 42.
Rolling off in 21st in the blackjack position, as Tanner Sharp would say, Doug Mullins in number 18, and to his outside, Bradley Wetzel in the 152 car. Renato Matos, a Simpossible regular, rolls off right next to another Simpossible regular, number 64 of Billy Wise. Rolling off in 25th, we got number 43 of Steve Bohala and number 26 of Lee Staples. So that is your 26 car grid for tonight's running of this race, and it's definitely going to be a fun one. 2 pace laps here, as this is a short track, so a bit of time for these drivers to kind of get everything keyed up with those cars and kind of think about what's going to happen, think about what their first moves are going to be. So definitely, I think, you know, it's definitely going to be a bit of a survival race as well. Short tracks, we know how they can be in real life and in the sim. It's a cool little camera right here, looking at the, I believe that's the right front tire of someone's car. See the brake rotors and everything in there. And looking from the outside of the roll bar of Will Borsler's machine, probably he's going to be pretty happy to see nothing in front of him. Definitely is the best place to be. But you see all those race cars right there. A lot of horsepower under the hood of those cars, and this is definitely going to be a fun race to watch, a fun race to be a part of, all for charity. So hopefully no hard feelings involved here, but definitely going to be some hard racing tonight. Real quick before we go green, I want to give a couple shout outs in the chat. Nikki Worsler, Kevin Cochran, Eddie Hawks, Billy Wise, all joining us for tonight. So good to see you all in here. Definitely keep us some company as we go through this race. We will try to interact with you guys as much as possible. But coming through turns 3 and 4 right now, we are lined up and ready to go green flag racing here. Will Worsler and Nicholas Kohan there. That is your front row waiting for this pace car to make that hard left turn onto pit road, which it does right now. So field in the hands of Will Worsler. Flagman throws the green flag out. Looks like a good start for the 21. He actually jumps by the 29 by a few car lengths into turn number 1. He's going to take the lead commandingly there through turns 1 and 2. Looks like our first battle side by side for the 3rd position. Jared Mogard and Sam Maxwell there. Mitch Brown involved in that battle as well. So that number 00, Jared Mogard, we know he's a fast driver in the ASRS series. Look for him to be going to the front. But single file for the first 3, 4, 5 cars in the field. First side-by-side battle, Corey Silva and Jason Stewart. Looks like Corey Silva's going to take that pretty easily there. But a good start here for the whole field. No incidents to report of, and we're single file for about the first 6 spots.
Yeah, that 21 of Nicholas Kohan, not a name I recognize. I don't think he waited for the leader to go on green. He took off right when the green flag came out, but sometimes it's up to the leader. So just something to note that he took off from the outside, but it's all good. 250 laps to make up for it. All these guys got away very cleanly, as we are single file all the way through about 10th, 11th position right now. And then that's where we have a couple side-by-side battles that you guys are seeing on your screen right now. Ed Bray in that 66 had just gotten it straightened out with Michael Krobach right behind him. But a lot of these guys getting it straightened out, getting it smoothened out, and not trying to push it too hard. You can see there is side-by-side racing, but they're definitely leaving each other room to get through these corners.
Absolutely on board here, seeing a battle in front of him. That's the 00 of Jared Mogard on the screen, and we're on board with him right now. Looking at out the right side of that race car, that's Will Worsler on his outside, Mitch Brown right behind him. We know this track is progressively banked, so look for the outside line to be the way to go right now. But actually, right there, Jared Mogard sent it into turn number 3 and slid up right in front of Will Worsler as they come back running inside and bring Mitch Brown with him at the line. So that's the battle for the 2nd position right now. Currently, Nicholas Kohana is about a 1.5 second lead over this little group right here. So he's well and truly checked out for the time being, but see how those tires hold up. And a good racing here. That number 51, Mitch Brown, making good use of that inside line, but not much you can do off there. Turn number 4, it's very, very tight. He's going to have to slot in right behind that 00 of Jared Mogard. He's going to try to make the move in turn 1 on the 29 of Worsler, and I think he's going to make it pretty easily right there. So give him the 2nd position for the time being. Actually, no he does not do that because Will Borster's coming back on the outside. You see some sunlight coming out on this racetrack, so it's going to be heating up a little bit. Looks like we don't really know what line is dominant right now. Looks like both lines pretty good, but the outside line definitely the one to be in if you want to hold your position.
Yeah, with this progressive banking, kind of every line can make sense and can be good, depending on how you drive it. It's kind of all up to personal preference. You can see with these guys, they're running three completely different line styles. And we've seen our leader, Nicholas Gohan, he's been able to pull away pretty well, but he's even touched a little bit of every single line. So some of these drivers still trying to search for speed, especially given the track conditions, and trying to see what'll work best for them. I think on the long runs, being on the outside, if you can do it right, it can help out with your tires. But as we had seen with Jared Mogard in the 00, sometimes if you send it too hard into that outside line, you can really put yourself behind the 8 ball.
Looks like number 11 of Tyler Seville did not take the start of the race, so he is currently in 26th and last, and does not look like he is going to be on the track anytime soon. So it looks like we have about 25 drivers that have started the race, but looking a little bit further back here, that's the number 72 of Michael Krobach, and right there, battle for position number 26 of, I believe that is Lee Staples at back around the 20th position right there, on board with Fernando Matos right here, number 71 car. Possible Racing League regular, right behind that number 26 of Lee Staples. We talked to Fernando before the race, and he's pretty excited about this event. Definitely going to try to get an interview with him at some future point in the race. But right here, Jwmpfa on the inside line, and he is the kind of inspiration for this race for, I believe, one of his family members. So definitely going to want to come out here and his grandmother here, and that he's definitely going to want to come out here and have a good run in memory of her. So look for that 42 to be strong here tonight. She's actually on the car, so I'm going to try to do something for that. But he is currently in a battle for the 16th position with Daniel Deffler. Deffler on the outside line, doing a pretty good job. It's a nice looking car, that number 13, I have to say myself. I'm a pretty big fan of the blue and orange combination. A lot of nice looking cars out here tonight. It's like most of the field is pretty strung out right now. We've had 13 laps under green flag conditions, and AJ, this is a pretty high tire wear track. It really doesn't seem like it because it's a newish racetrack, but definitely tires do wear pretty well here, and you will lose a lot of grip over the course of a run. So these drivers probably already starting to lose some right there.
Yeah, even with being a short oval, you get up to some pretty high speeds, and some cornering forces are really hard, and it's really abrasive on the tires. Tires tend to fall off really quick. Even in 6 laps, I would expect some people to get some tires. As you see, the 43 slid up into the 152 there. Bradley Wetzel there in the 152 was able to collect it and keep it going, but these guys definitely getting racy. I know there's 250 laps. They're trying to give each other some room, but you also are trying to get some speed and trying to go for it. And already being about 16 laps in, these guys are starting to feel the need to push it, especially when some of these leaders are really starting to pull away from the pack. Nicholas Gohan already off to a 1.6 second lead on Jared Mogard, and he's already a second ahead of Mitch Brown and Will Worsler. So those top 2 guys are really starting to pull away, and might starting to open up the ante a little bit for some of these guys, especially with being such a short oval. Some of these guys who were closer towards the back of the pack can probably see the leader slowly starting to creep up on their relative.
Absolutely. We're looking at the 94 of Corey Silva there. He is, or 92, excuse me. He is the 94 usually in the Impossible, or in the ASRS league. I'm getting all my leagues mixed up here, but actually has 94 on the car, but he is scored as the 92, so it's a bit confusing, but we're gonna use iRacing scoring right there in the 92. He's running in the 5th position right there behind Will Worsler. Worsler actually starting on the pole, and he's slid back to the 4th position. It looks like he might be under fire for 5th here, but never actually led a lap in the race, and he probably is going to want to do that pretty soon, but running behind Mitch Brown there. Jared Mogard actually looks like he's a little bit quicker than our leader, Nicholas Kohan, right now. Mogard last time ran a 22.936 to, actually, well, last time by it was an 8.73 for Kohan, but that gap did kind of go down a little bit over the course of a few laps there. Number 13 right there on the apron. Daniel Deffler looks like he had some trouble there, but he stays on the racetrack and is, might have gotten a boost there off turn number 2 or something. Looks like he's gotten it collected and lost a few spots. He actually lost about 5 or 6 spots there. So now running in the 23rd position, but a bit of a train run. Train forming up behind here by Mitch Brown, and got Will Worsler and Corey Silva right behind him, and see how close that 29 is to the back of the 51. You know, with these 2019 Cup cars, you do lose a lot of downforce when you do that, and here comes Will Worsler on the inside out of turn number 2, trying to get that run. Ooh, some contact there. Around the 51 goes. Let's see if he can save it in turn number 3, and absolutely, what a great save there. We'll have to see what happened here on the replay, but there was definitely a lot of contact sending that number 51 into a slide, and what a miracle that he didn't actually turn it around. Might have been some net code there, but number 51 going for a bit of a Tokyo drift there, but is able to keep it straight and actually is still in the 6th position. So it's probably not the way he wanted to do things, but he also has a clean race car, so that's really all that matters.
Yeah, just a little bit of netcode there, and us sim racers call it netcode, and sometimes in the actual racing world you'll hear people just say that the air got stuck in there and moved them. So just two completely different terms, and we call it netcode. But yeah, just the slightest contact, but a fantastic save by Mitch Brown in the 51, keeping his thing up in 6th place right now and still going strong. Like you said, very single file, very much a train there once that behind Will Worsler. That's a long train of cars going from behind him, but a lot of these guys off to a pretty clean start. We've seen a little bit of taps, a little bit of wiggles, but that's expected in short oval racing. And while Iowa isn't necessarily the Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol sort of the world, it still is a short oval and still leads to short oval tendencies, especially when it tends to be there is multi-groove racing, but everybody's going to try to fight for that same groove. Is when we do see all these guys single file, they're within about a car length groove wise or two. So when you do go side by side, there's not a lot of buffer room, and you try to get on the gas too early, get a little bit antsy, and we've seen some of these guys slide up into each other.
Good battle for 14th here. Tim Knott, Richard Stallings, and Jim Foose going at it. All of those drivers having moved up a couple of spots from where they started, so good to see that. Looking from the right side of Richard Stallings' car, you see how fast this racetrack is. It's about top speeds around here about 165, 170, and then you only get down to about 120, 130 in the corners. So a lot of speed, and it really does. This is a very bumpy racetrack as well. So you really feel those bumps every time you go around them, and that's one of the things that kind of dictates what lines you run around here. Just trying to stay out of those bumps, especially through turns 1 and 2 on that outside line. You'll probably see it here on one of these cars we're watching. But just you can see that car wallow up and down over those bumps. And you can really feel that as a driver, AJ. It really is kind of a jarring feeling.
Yeah, when we're watching right here, you can see all the different seams on the track. And if you notice that top seam right there that's up above, there's that white line, the dashed white line, and then the seam that's above that. If you go any higher than that top seam, you're going to be really into the jarring bumps. Up there is not where you want to be at all. So you'll see all those drivers. You want to be as close to that seam as possible if you're trying to really run that high line, but you do not want to be any higher than that top seam on the track. Optimally, you want to be basically your left tire on that white dotted or dashed line, I guess you could say. That's kind of the optimal place to run if you're a high line guy, and some people are low line guys. Some of these guys you've been able to see just go right down to that bottom line, try to hug that yellow line as much as they can. So, but definitely the biggest bumps are anywhere above that seam. And then also, if you look kind of in the middle of 1 and 2, that bottom line, there's a little bit of, there's 2 little bumps there in 1 and 2 on that bottom line as well. So right now we're having a side-by-side battle. We had mentioned Jared Mogard was fast, slowly catching up to Kohan, but he's since fallen off of Kohan a little bit, and Will Worsler is now looking to the inside of him.
Yeah, and Corey Silva there as well. So good battle here between 3 drivers for that 2nd position, all about 2 seconds behind the number 21, Nicholas Kohan. Ooh, contact between Worsler and Mogard, and Corey Silva's going to dive it 3 wide down to the inside line and try to take advantage of that. Looks like he might be able to do that pretty easily. But here comes Jared Mogard back on the outside line out of turn number 2, and just not much you can do down there. He actually looks like he might lose out to Will Worsler as well. But a good battle here. There's a lot of damage on that left side of the 00. See that fender all crinkled up and not looking like it should be. But it doesn't look like it's affecting him too incredibly much, but definitely want to try to get that fixed when he can. But looking like a green flag run here. Got 33 laps on the tires, and we're kind of spread out here. Probably gonna have to start thinking about green flag pit stops here in just a little bit. I think our fuel run around here is about 70 to 80 laps, and if we can make that, that would be absolutely amazing there. You see Jared Mogard there, able to get that second position back from Will Worsler. I gotta think with that damage on that car, though, he might be holding up those 2 cars behind him, so that's probably why they're so eager to get around that double zero. But there's Jason Stewart in the 1 car. He's fallen a few positions back from where he started. He started in 6th, now running in 10th, battling with, I believe that's Troy Hayton, the 28 car. He's up. He's actually running right where he did. Good run on the outside line for him. He's going to take that spot away from Jason Stewart. Or excuse me, he's going to hold that position. He actually had it. So Jason Stewart is the one trying to move up in front of Troy Hayton there, but still going at it for second here. Up at the front, Jared Mogard is not going to let that position go if his life depends on it. You can see he's running the outside line for turns 3 and 4. And AJ, I think I would have to say my personal preference around this racetrack is probably low in 1 and 2 and high in 3 and 4. That usually is for myself being like the best line around the racetrack.
Yeah, I think when these guys are on their own and all single file, that's what you'll tend to see is the guys try to dive to the bottom through 1 and 2, and then the top in 3 and 4. As you can see, Will Worsler just with a nice slide job to get in front of Mogard. But yeah, these guys, you tend to see them towards the bottom. So you can see there the 92 Corey Silva, who's 94 on Trading Paints there. He took the bottom line there, and the other guys followed him, so they basically were in the first and second groove. But then here, when you get to the turns 3 and 4, they're kind of taking that top groove right about where that seam is, like I was talking about earlier. So one of the few drivers I've been able to see that has been on the bottom in both corners is the 51 of Mitch Brown. He's been back there. He's driving the bottom both in 3 and 4 and in 1 and 2 pretty consistently. So that must be where he likes kind of what is coined the Kevin Harvick line. But that's where he's been lately, and he's been doing a pretty good job back there, just consistently in 6. We saw him get a little bit of contact earlier, but if that's where he likes to be, that's where he's gonna be. As you can see on your screen right here, Nicholas Cohan starting to work through some lap traffic here.
Yeah, he's about 3 seconds ahead of that battle for second between Worsler, Silva, and Mogard. And he's already starting to lap some cars here. Put Billy Wise 1 lap down, and now going around Bradley Wetzel, Daniel Defferler on the hot seat right now. But definitely that number 21 showing the pace here early on. And, for a while, it looked like that he was under fire from some of the cars behind him, but he has really checked out and has absolutely kind of just left everyone in the dust for the time being. So, early on here at Iowa, but definitely a lot of work for those cars behind him to do. Looking at the 66 of Ed Gray, this is back around 13th and 14th position there. Good battle here, good little hornet's nest, about 5-6 cars there on the screen, all battling for position. And you see Jwmpfa right there. He's gained 5 spots from where he started. He started 20th, currently in the 15th spot. So doing the moving forward thing, which is always a good thing to do in a race. Got around the 0-1 of Gregory McDougall. He's fallen a few spots from, actually, some trouble for Jwmpfa. He was very slow out of turn number 4. He actually gave the spot away to the 0-1, so might have gotten some arrow push and gotten tight there, but definitely losing the spot. But definitely interesting to see the different lines these drivers are running. A lot of drivers electing to take it low, and a lot of drivers electing to take it high on both ends of the speedway. So I don't think there's really a preferred groove right now. It's kind of just where your driving style dictates where you need to run.
Yeah, it kind of seems to be that way. Wherever your car wants to go, wherever you want to go, you can put it. The one thing I have a little bit of on our screen there, you can see a little bit of wiggling around. These guys trying to hold on to it, especially as the tire wears down. But looks like the 13 just hit the wall and luckily was able to get out of their way. But definitely some lap traffic to start to work through there. But these guys are definitely running whatever they're comfortable with, whatever their car likes, kind of the in between both, especially as these tires are wearing down. You definitely don't want to be pushing your car to something you're not comfortable with when your tires are wore out like this. But the one thing I do want to say is when I've raced in Iowa in the past, granted not in the A car like this with this dumb aero package, but it tends to be the top line is really good to run when you're in front and you're trying to hold off the guys behind, as we had seen from Mogard earlier and we're currently seeing from Mogard on your screen right here. But if you can run that top line, you kind of can control and pinch and dictate what the guys behind you are able to do. They can't really get the run off of the turn that they want to get. But when you're on your own, the fastest way around is kind of what we had talked about, where you're bottom line in 1 and 2 and top in 3 and 4, and that's where the majority of these drivers have been so far today.
Quickly looking at the 00 Jared Mogard, we didn't see this on screen, but the 29 of Worsler and Corey Silva in the 92 were able to both get around Mogard. I think that damage on that 00 is affecting his performance just a little bit, because they have driven away from Mogard. Now he's under fire from Nick Curling and Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown doing a great job after having that pretty amazing slide there in turn number 3 a few laps ago. Doesn't look like it tore his tires up too incredibly much, because he still has a lot of pace in that car, so that's always good to see. Sometimes you have to worry about that, especially at a track like Iowa. If you get that car sideways, those rear tires might just melt and they will never come back. And AJ, technically, usually at a track like Richmond, when you melt those rear tires, you really have a bad time driving really the rest of the run, and it never really comes back. So it's good to see that one not having those issues.
Yeah, I think the way that Richmond drives, being so brake heavy, and also you don't want to have too much front brake bias, just the way that Richmond drives, it tends to be, if you melt those rear tires, you're done. But Iowa's kind of in between, where you can obviously see all these corners, but a little bit of contact. The 51 up into the wall, caution is out.
Yeah, first caution of the day. 51 of Mitch Brown, no rear end on that car, so he definitely backed it into the wall. And the good luck he had from earlier has now gone away from him. We'll see what happened here on the replay. You back it up a little bit there, because he was already spinning out, just out of turn number 4. It looks like he was good there across the line. Might be some contact there from behind into turn number 1. Yes, it was 57 of Craig Stykes, and hard hit for that 51. It's definitely going to be a lot of damage to fix on that machine. And looks like just looks like Craig Stykes, the 57, made a move down to the inside line, and it just looked like that Mitch didn't know he was there or something, because he just kind of drove down into the front end of him and spun himself around. So not a good thing for him, but definitely we'll see all of these drivers absolutely come down on pit road and take 4 tires and fuel. Those tires are well past their use by date, and you see it right here.
Yeah, all these drivers are going to like to come down pit road, get 4 fresh Goodyear rubbers, and then grab their full tank of fuel, especially after we're on lap 52 now. So these guys had a really long green flag run there to start the race. Very good to see. Already, a fifth of the way through the race just on that run alone. So 20% of the race done, and these guys are all in pit road. Everybody that we can see there hit their boxes really nice and neat, and these guys gonna try to get off and gather as much track position as they can.
We'll let these drivers do their pit stops, and we'll try to see if we can get a word with one of them in just a moment. There you see the race off pit road, won by Kohan, followed by Worsler, and then everyone else as well. So not much change on pit road. 51 of Mitch Brown being the lone wolf. He's getting all that damage fixed, and that's going to be quite a lengthy repair with how hard that car hit on both the front and rear of it. But definitely 21 here showing the pace early on, and we'll go ahead and see if we can get a word with 29 of Will Worsler. Bring him in here for just a moment. Hey, Will Worsler, this is Cam and Rich up in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, what's going on, Cam?
It's going on pretty well. Looks like it's going pretty well for you. You got a lot of speed out in that 29 machine tonight. Looks like that car in front of you, that 21, is pretty fast. You think you can go out there and maybe do something different to beat?
I don't know, man. He was running off of nitrous oxide first part of the run, and I was seeming to reel him in second half. But traffic's mofo out here.
Yeah, definitely. But kind of just tell us the viewers and here in the booth, how's that track feeling for you? Looks like there's not really a preferred groove, it looks like to us. Looks like everybody's kind of just running all over the racetrack. Where have you found the most speed for your machine?
That's one of my favorite things about this track, is you can kind of make of it what you want. But tonight, it's a little cooler, so there's a lot more grip than I anticipated, and I really wish it was hotter and a little slicker. But there's a lot of grip, so people are more apt to be able to do whatever they want. And I don't know. I've just been kind of experimenting with it, and I think I've kind of found my line and starting to get the feel for it. Just plan on using the first half of the race to practice, and the second half of the race to try to win.
It's always a good strategy to have, but appreciate you talking with us, Will. Good luck the rest of this race, and hope to talk to you again afterward.
I hope to talk to you again afterward too. Thank you.
So Will Worsler there telling us kind of what we saw already, that there's really no preferred groove out here. Kind of just run where you want, and it's always a fun thing to do as a driver. AJ, I'm not sure about you, but for myself, I definitely like racetracks like that where you're not kind of stuck to the bottom or even worse, stuck to the top and can't really run anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely love these kind of racetracks like Iowa, where you kind of have lane choice. It not only allows you to feel more in tune with your car, with the track, with what's going on, but it also leads to just better racing because everybody's on different lines. You can manipulate the way that you want to drive it to. You have to manipulate the way that you drive it to try to block people if you want to try to block, or maybe like, hey, somebody's coming up, so now I gotta run a high line to try to pin them down, or things like that. So it really opens itself up to great racing, but it also is a lot more enjoyable as a driver because you feel like you're actually in control, and it's not just a flat out Talladega type race where it's just, hey, this is the fastest lane, you're either on this or you're not.
Absolutely. Well, 18 of Doug Mullis being your lucky dog in this caution. We are doubled up for the restart. 1 lap to go, more like 2 corners to go before we go back green. Field in the hands of number 21 of Nicholas Kohan. He's been the dominant driver out here, 55 laps in the race, so it's up to the rest of the field to see if they can try to beat him. But they have another shot after this caution. Pace car about to make that hard left turn onto pit road, and there we go. And Will Worsler actually pulling ahead of the 29 or 21 just a little bit, but 21 rockets out to a pretty big lead there on the restart. Great restart for him. Now the battle is for second. Corey Silva on the inside. Will Worsler on the outside. Out of turn number 2. Who's going to have the advantage? I think Will Worsler might have the run, but Corey Silva still has the nose on Will Worsler. He's going to take that position into turn number 3. We'll see if he can make a run on that outside line through turn number 4, and he does. I think he's going to take the position at the line, but this is good stuff for Nicholas Kohan. He's loving what he's seeing in his mirror because that's going to allow him to pull away a little bit more.
Yeah, Nicholas Kohan definitely enjoying this side by side. These guys can't run their preferred groove what they want, as Will Worsler is able to pull away, get a little bit single file there in second place, and possibly be able to chase down this leader. But these guys, after being 50 lap old tires, all of a sudden they get brand new sticker tires, and they got to reaccustom themselves to the super fast grip, as well as the track has probably changed. It's been an hour later since where they started this race in track time. Track is on 2 times here in iRacing for this race, and so current time is 6:45. They started about 5:45, so an hour later. There's definitely a lot more cloud cover here, and grip levels have probably changed from where this race started, and as well as getting brand new tires, you got to adjust to that, and these guys are doing pretty well at that. It's all single file here for the most part, other than back in the field there. You're able to see a little bit of side-by-side battles here and there, but front's all singled out.
Yeah, it looks like most of the field has gotten single file. The first battle on the track was between Fernando Matos and Sean Music, but it looks like that has ended pretty abruptly there. So all these drivers probably kind of trying to feel their cars out, see what they can do now that they have fresh tires on the car. Track's a little bit different, so maybe trying to feel out the lines and see where their cars are going to run now. That's going to be something to do all race, AJ. You really have to keep up with the track, especially with the track state on 2 times. You really have to make sure that you are able to keep up with that changing track. Definitely a cool thing here on iRacing since they added that. I love that that has become a thing, but definitely you see right there 26 of, I believe that is Lee Staples there. Running around the 20th position. He's gotten himself in front of the 13 of Daniel Deffler. We saw him have some issues early on. He's currently 1 lap down, trying to get that lucky dog to get himself back on the lead lap, currently in that position. Fighting with Brad Wetzel and Billy Wise for that. He is a couple cars ahead of both of those drivers, so looking pretty good right now. There's the number 01 of Gregory McDougall. He is currently in the 9th position. Haven't talked about him too much this race. He started in 13th, so he's up a couple spots and doing a pretty good job. We saw him running around the 8th, 7th, 6th position there before the caution came out, so that 01 seems to have a lot of long run speed in it, so definitely be something to watch out for as this race goes on. Side-by-side battle in front of him, Jason Stewart and Troy Haight. Jason Stewart's going to take it on the outside line, and now McDougal wants to get himself in that battle. He's right behind that number 28, trying to see if he can use that outside line and get himself around there. Sam Maxwell in the 98 under fire from the 57 of Craig Stykes. That number 57 has been pretty good all race, AJ. Haven't talked about him too much, but he's been right there at around the top 5 and a pretty good job right there.
Yeah, Craig Stykes started in 10th position for this race and is currently up in 5th, 6th. Like we said, he's been up a part of this battle the whole time, but right now the hottest battle is right here with Jason Stewart and these guys right behind him. Troy Haight, Gregory McDougal, and Jack Wells all right behind him, and this is a very, very big train here. These guys kind of looking, taking peeks here and there, and right here you can see Gregory McDougal looking to the inside.
Yeah, pretty good battle there. Still going on in the lower half of the top 10. McDougal on that inside line, Stewart on that outside line. I think Stewart's going to have the run out of turn number 4. Yes, he does. He's going to try to bring Troy Haight with him, but McDougal's not giving it up on that inside line through 1 and 2. I think that is the stronger line. See if he can keep out of those bumps and get the power down, and he does well. But that number 1 just too strong right there on the inside line. But have a note from Tyler Seville having some connection issues, reason why he was not able to start the event. So definitely a big shame there, Tyler. Wish you were in the race, but still side by side here with McDougal and Stewart. It's something that we're going to see all race long. It's just so hard to get that move made on the inside line, AJ. You just have to be so much quicker than that car on the outside line, because that outside line has so much momentum, so much more, or a little bit more banking there. Close there off turn number 4, but just kind of going to be something to note the rest of this race.
Yeah, this top line really holds momentum well, has a little bit more banking than that inside line. I think the inside line is slightly faster when you get the brand new tires very early on in the stint, and then the longer that the stint goes, it seems like this outside line is maybe not able to prevail and be stronger, but you're able to hold off very well on that outside line. So we're seeing these guys in a constant battle back and forth here so far with 2 very different line types, but definitely a long train behind them. Just a quick note up at the front, Nicholas Gohan has gotten himself out to about a 8/10 gap. It was just over half a second right at the beginning of this stint. Will Worcester was able to pull it into about 2.5 tenths, almost 2 tenths exactly. Was getting up on his bumper and then has fallen off since then. So I don't know if Will was given a little too much beans and lost some of his rubber, but Nicholas Gohan definitely seems to be pretty good here in the short, middle, and long runs so far in this race. But still lots of ebbs and flows to go, still lots of grip to be searched for and found. And these drivers have a long time left, as we can see here. Back to that battle, Gregory McDougal still at it on the inside, will not give up at all. So relentless pressure here on the back of Jason Stewart.
Jason Stewart was able to take that position into turn number 3 around that outside line. Let's give a quick update to a couple drivers who were up front earlier in this race. Number 51, Mitch Brown, he was the cause of the first caution, currently back in the 17th position. No rear end on that car. Probably not driving too terribly good, and right behind him, 00 Jared Mogard. He took a lengthy pit stop on the last caution to fix some of that damage, got himself back to about the 20th position. Has not made a whole lot of ground up yet, but right in front of them, good battle here between Jim Foose and Fernando Matos. And you see those 2 cars side by side. Mitch Brown on that outside line trying to take the position away from Fernando. You can see him right there shoot out of that turn number 2 on that outside line and take that spot away with relative ease. But in front of him, good battle between Tim Knott and Jim Foose. 41 and 42 going at it side by side. And Tim Knott's going to be able to hold the position away from Jim Foose at the line. So a couple of these cars are a couple cars in the back that we were expected to be up front, but I would not count either of them out just yet. Even with that 51 not having a rear end, I would say that definitely don't count him out in Mogard either. But a bit of a hornet's nest right here. There's Richard Solling at 17. This is around the 12th, 13th position. He's side by side with the 72 of Michael Krobach, and looks like he's going to drive it in on that inside line. Krobach's going to come out on that outside line with that momentum and kind of hold that position. They're they're all behind Troy Haight. Troy Haight running in the 10th position, so this is all a pretty good battle for that top 10. But right there, Jared Mogart on the inside of Tim and Knott. He's trying to get Matos in the wall. Looks like he was able to keep it straight, but definitely popped the wall there a little bit and has to lose some of this momentum there. But Jared Mogart on the inside of Mitch Brown, looks like they were thinking about taking it 3 wide on Tim Knott for just a moment, but thinks better of it.
Yeah, I thought better of it for the moment, but currently decided, nah, screw with that. We're going to go 3 wide right now as they're still looking at it down the straightaway. Mogart's not going to give up that inside, and that's where Mitch Brown had been most of this day. So Mitch Brown also trying to get by Tim Knott and is going to say, excuse me, pardon me, and try to take it through up the middle as well. So Mogart and Mitch Brown, 2 guys that we had seen towards the front so far, doing pretty well, starting to slowly pick their way off up the back. And like you said, still lots of time left. About 170 laps remaining still in this one, so lots of time to slowly pick their way up the field. And they just inverse there as Mitch Brown was able to take the lead, get up to the inside with Mogart in the middle, but Mogart's going back to the inside. And back on our screen, you're seeing Richard Stallings. He's to the inside of Tim. Excuse me, 17 car. Yes, he's inside of Troy Haight, the other T car. So Richard Stallings looking to the inside of Troy Haight, but Michael Krobach is going to say, I'll take this outside line that you left free. So constant battles all over this track. If you put dirt on this track and gave these guys sprint cars, I don't know if it'd be this much action.
Yeah, really. I'm kind of looking at that 17 of Richard Stallings right now, and you know, that is one of the frustrating things about a racetrack like this. You try to make a move on the inside line, and then you have somebody else on the outside kind of take that position away from you before you can even work on the car that you're trying to get around. So that's kind of what's happened to Richard Stallings, and he's under fire from Michael Krobach, under fire in that 10th position. So he needs to try to get himself in front of the 72, and you see that Troy Haight was able to kind of drive away from this battle because of them going side by side. It looks like we have a battle right behind this as well. Edward Bray and Jim Foose, they're getting pretty close there. Both these drivers kind of really making their way forward pretty slowly but surely. Jim Foose starting in 20th up to 14th, and Ed Bray running about where he started, up a couple positions though. So number 42, we talked about him. He's the kind of inspiration for this race, racing for a cause here, and I definitely think that he's going to want to get a good run, as is everyone else, but definitely a little bit more special for him. But Edward Bray looking on the 72 of Michael Krobach. Richard Stallings was able to get himself clear of that car and try to do something with Troy Haight in front of him. Actually, Jack Wells right there has fallen back a little bit. Now he's under fire from Richard Stallings. Jack Wells, somebody we haven't talked about much this race. He started in 12th, currently running in the 9th position, but looks like he's under fire from Richard Stallings now. So lots of action all over this racetrack. It's kind of hard to keep up with it a little bit, AJ.
Yeah, very hard to keep up with, and something that is not always expected with this A car. This package has led to pretty close racing in general, but just not a lot of passing opportunities. But we're seeing guys 2, 3 wide all over the track, and sometimes it's really hard to click through. And we got to give a big shout out to our producer here, man in the cameras, Carlos Acosta, as he's trying to flick through just as we are and trying to find all these battles and keeping you guys with some of the hottest action that we have on the track. And definitely a big shout out to him for keeping us going, keeping us thriving here on track. But definitely hot battles all over the track, and Will Worcest's been able to keep about a 1.3 second, hold it at about 1.3 behind Nicholas Cohan there up at the lead. But these couple drivers behind Will Worcester starting to slowly catch in, Corey Silva and Nick Curling. But as we're at it again, Richard Stallings still trying to make that bottom work, and just a lot of these guys relentlessly working the bottom, and Richard Stallings gets it to pay off there through 3 and 4.
One thing to kind of note here, AJ, is if you kind of run that bottom line too much with everybody else on the outside line, you're going to burn your tires up a little bit quicker than if you weren't doing that. But we have a battle between Jason Stewart here and Troy Haight. That's for the 8th position there. Stewart on that outside line. Troy Haight trying to make that bottom work. Not going to be able to do it just yet. We were looking at the battle between Jared Mogart and Ed Bray. Just some, zoom we're having trouble here trying to find battles all over the racetrack because they are happening all the time. So kind of the signs of a good race here. It's a pretty fun one, lots of battling, lots of hard, close racing, especially further on in the back. We have one between Ed Bray and Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown has made his way up to the 15th spot, so slowly but surely trying to get himself up after those incidents that he had in the turn number 1 and racing a little bit lighter than he was before. No rear end on that car. You see just a big gaping hole there. That TV panel gone, but not going to hurt him too much. That's not super important on these race cars. Actually, in fact, a lot of drivers would say that having that rear panel gone kind of helps you a little bit, but he kind of hit the wall there, so it might have added a little bit more damage than he had before. Looks like it's not going to hurt him too really much. You can get away with a little bit of wall contact here without it affecting you, but once you get that 2x contact from iRacing, that's usually when it starts affecting you a little bit more. But it's Richard Stallings and Troy Haight here battling, and then Michael Krobach and Mitch Brown. Jared Mogard is right there. He's got himself up to the 14th position. Excuse me, make that the 13th position after getting around Krobach. So that 00 slowly but surely making his way to the front as well.
Yeah, we had mentioned very early on in this run, Mogard wasn't making up a ton of time, at least as much as we had thought, but maybe he had a little bit of, hey, this is going to be a longer run in mind, and was just trying to mind his tires, mind his P's and Q's, and here he is, while some of these other guys had probably been burning off the bottom, and he was just kind of taking his time through the field, and he's coming on really strong here lately. He's gained probably about 5 positions over the last 20 laps or so, definitely picking his way through the field, and one of the guys that we expect to see up towards the front, and he'll probably get back up there. There's still lots of time left in this race.
Not much up at the front going on right now. The number 21 of Nicholas Cohen, about a 1.1 second lead over Warsaw. He just put Billy Wise a second lap down. But while we're on this car, why don't we just go through the field just a little bit here. There's the 21, Nicholas Cohen, started in second. He's been the dominant car all day today. It looks like that everybody's going to have their work cut out to beat that 21 car. And I got to say that 21 reminded me of the old Kevin Harvick Busch car, if anyone remembers that Reese's car, and definitely running like that car did in the Busch Series back in the day, out here leading laps and dominating, so might be a bit of a good omen there. But about 1 second behind him, that gap is kind of going back and forth. Will Morser, 29 machine, he started on the pole. He's been right about there all race, right about in that second position. I don't believe he's actually led a lap yet, but he is having a good run right there. Kind of not letting that 21 get out too far ahead, about a second ahead of him, but doing a good job. He's got Corey Silva right behind him, that 92/94 car, whatever you want to say. iRacing scores that as 92, but he's kind of ran right around there all race. He's up a couple positions from where he started in 7th, so doing a pretty good job. He's been, I believe he has got himself up to about the 2nd position for a little bit there, but kind of running in 3rd. There's Nick Curling in the 45 car. Running in the 4th position. He started in the 9th position, so he's doing a pretty good job. He got himself up into the battle a little while ago. Right behind him, Craig Stykes in 57. It's a pretty cool looking car right there. Black, orange, and green. Always a good color combination. He is up 5 spots from where he lived, or from where he started, excuse me. My producer's kind of trying to mess me up over here a little bit, but the number 57 doing a good job. He's going around the number 64 of Billy Wise right now. 01 of Gregory McDougall. He's currently in the 6th position with a battle with Sam Maxwell right behind him. That is 6th and 7th. Both these drivers kind of been around these positions all race, doing a pretty good job of not doing too much flashy things, but doing a good job of being consistent out there. And then a little bit behind them, you have Jason Stewart and Troy Haight still kind of going at it. Actually, now that's Jason Stewart and Richard Stallings. Troy Haight losing out on that battle, but that is 8th, 9th, and 10th in the battle. All three of those drivers kind of been around each other all race, it seems, and it looks like still going at it. AJ.
Yeah, here you have Troy Haight, you just mentioned, still going at it, still hanging on to the back of this pack, currently in 10th. Behind him, we have Jared Mogard. We've been talking about how he's been up through the field lately. He's up to 11th position, so currently still continuing that climb and working his way up the field. As we were going through the field there, Gregory McDougall is started 13th and is currently up to 6th. He's definitely one of our bigger movers to the race. Richard Stallings as well. We've talked about him a lot in this second stint here. He started 18th and is currently up to 9th. So two of those guys, some of the biggest movers of the race so far. And Another thing to mention while we were going through the field there is Nicholas Cohan's gap has been slowly decreasing. Will Worsler and Corey Silva have both been catching Nicholas Cohan together kind of throughout this stint. Will Worsler a little bit faster than Silva, but Worsler slowly catching. It's down to 7/10 now, and it was up to about a second and a half to 2 seconds at one point in this stint. So the longer this goes on, and also you can see that the lights are on here at Iowa Speedway, and the sun is starting to set, and you wonder if some of the track changes might actually play into Worsler's favor, even though in our interview he did say that he favored it to be hotter and slicker, but maybe it's just the long run, but he's slowly starting to catch up to Cohan.
A bit of anomaly here. It looks like our track temperature has actually gone up as we've descended into the darkness, so I'm not sure what the weather is doing here, but definitely it might be playing into that might be what is playing into Will Worsler's favor right now. You saw a bit of trouble there for Nicholas Cohan getting around the lap car of Daniel Deffler. It's like all that was pretty good. He was able to get around it, but look at that lead. It is about 0.6 of a second right now. So that number 29 can definitely smell some blood, and we'll see if he can do something with that 21, because we haven't seen that all night. Ooh, caution out on the racetrack, right in front of the leader. It's like number 18 of Doug Mullins going around there in turn number 1, and very close there, but able to get himself righted in. Ooh, there's the 26 of Lee Staples, and I believe that was Sean Music who got almost collected in it, but was able to, by the pure grace of luck, to not be in that. And there you go. You saw that car get righted in, drive away, and live another day.
Yeah, and as that spin was occurring, Bradley Wetzel kind of took a little bit of evasive action and spun a little bit himself. You'll see him flash by right there, the 152. Just barely missed the nose, but was able to get his car with just a slight spin, maybe a little bit of light wall contact, but nothing too harsh. But he didn't really know what was going on there. You can see in that onboard, wow, to only end up with that small touch on the outside wall. As a driver, that was some pretty incredible evasive maneuvers, because you really don't know what's going on there. He was up at the top and was trying to whip it around to get going straight, but with guys all over the relative, it probably wasn't the right time to flip around there. But all these cars were able to get away with just a little bit of light contact. Hopefully Bradley can get that cleaned up, and we're seeing all these leaders head down pit road for their second time under caution here tonight on lap 107.
Yeah, it seems like we've had about 50 laps caution, and then 50 more laps and another caution, working lap number 108. So we're going to see what happens here on these green flag pit stops. I can't imagine anybody's going to try to take 2 tires at this stage in the race. Probably through the field 4 tires and fuel. I don't think 2 tires with that many laps on your tires would work out too well. But if you're going to do it, you might as well do it early and try to see what happens. Cohan down and away, followed by Worsler, and there's Corey Silva coming off as well. So your top 3 not going to change. Craig Stykes looks like he was able to gain a spot there off the exit of pit road, but we'll let all these drivers come off, and we're going to be right back with you in just a moment.
Hey, Corey Silva, this is AJ Digby in the Throughout TV booth. You got a copy?
10-4, man.
Well, you've had a pretty good start to this race, currently in third after that round of pit stops, it looks like. had a pretty fast car, was definitely starting to close in both on Worsler and the leader there. Just tell us about how the track feels right now as the sun's starting to set.
It's just really, really, really tight. Like you have to send it for the first 5 laps because that's when everyone's bunched together. But then after that, it's really hard to make a pass and it gets tight. So you got to save your tires and stay out of the wall. So I got into the wall a little bit, but I think we're still all right from it.
Yeah, your car looks pretty clean. I like that black with the bright green. We've had a little bit of trouble. You have that custom paint number 94, but scored as number 92. But so far, like I've said, had a pretty good race so far. You think you got anything left for these last 140 laps to give to these guys?
Yeah, if we can get in the right set of circumstances, Cohan doesn't have a long run car, so I think me and Will could put on a show with him if we have a long enough run. So kind of hoping that's how it turns out.
Hoping for a long run, and I know we've gotten 50 lap runs, but definitely hoping for longer. About how many laps of fuel can these things go if it were to be a long run?
About 85 we're looking at right now from my team's perspective.
Okay, good information to know. And as you guys are double filing up, just wanted to wish you the best of luck for the remainder of this thing, and keep the car clean and have a good finish.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, doubled up for the restart here. Working our second caution of the day. Your leader still Nicholas Cohan, who's been the dominant driver all day. Will Worsler on the outside line, followed by Corey Silva, who we just talked to, and Craig Sykes. That is your first 2 rows in the field right there. You see the track is pretty much descended into full darkness right now. Looks like 7:30 local time, but right on the lap pedal out of the way. There's Nicholas Cohan, excuse me, I got a little bit mixed up there, but that number 21 got a very good restart into turn number 1. He's gonna gap that 29 by a few car lengths. We know that 21 is very fast on the short run. We'll see if this we know that 21 is very fast on the short run. We'll see if Will Worsler in the 29 can do something with him early on, but we're single file for the first 5 or 6 cars. First battle is between that 45 of Nick Curling and 28 of Troy Haight. That's for the 6th position there. And looks like it's a multi-car battle. There's Mitch Brown. He's got himself back in the top 10 after that incident earlier on. So good to see that. Still no rear end on the car, but no harm, no foul. Still got the spoiler on it and all the important pieces. So I don't think that's going to hurt him too incredibly much. But he is in this battle for that 6th position with Nick Curling and Troy Haight, so good to see that. But really not much change at the front. Actually, Will Worsler has gotten himself pretty much as close as to the lead as he's been all race under green flag conditions, about 0.2 of a second right there. So might be trying to do something. He might be trying to bring Corey Silva with him as well.
Yeah, you can see off the back here of Cohan, well, Worsler slowly closing in each of these laps. He definitely has the short run speed, as he was our top qualifier. Knowing that Worsler has that speed can be beneficial, but we also saw later on in that run that he was able to close in, and we also heard Silva say that Cohan doesn't have a long run car. So if Worsler could get up here and make a move early on in this stint, that could also benefit him the longer that this run goes on as well. So he's definitely closing in on the back of Cohan here, almost right up in his wheel tracks, and is going to be looking to make a move here in the next couple laps if he can. But if not, definitely showing that he has the speed and the capability to be able to make that move later, especially as this sun comes completely off the track and this thing turns into a completely true night race.
The gap, nothing between Cohan and Worsler right now. Good battle here for the lead, and a bit of proactive driving from Cohan there. You see that Worsler was using the high line in turn 3 and 4. Cohan moved himself up in front of Will Worsler, took his line away a little bit and kind of stalled at that 29 out. So definitely looking in his mirrors. That might be what Will Worsler wants. That was a bit of connotation right there. So hard for me to say, but definitely a good battle for the lead, and we have a good battle for second. Corey Silva and Craig Sykes going at it. So kind of battle for third, excuse me. Those 2 cars going at it right now, and they're quite a bit ways ahead of that number 9 of Sam Maxwell. He's had a pretty quiet race right there. A bit of a hornet's nest right here. That's Ed Bray. That's I believe that's Nick Curling in the 45. This is around the back end of the top 10 and right behind that. So a lot of cars here, about 10 cars I see. They're all battling for that position Jwmpfa on the inside line, trying to get around Edward Bray. Mitch Brown right there, and that's Jason Stewart going at it. No, that's the 01 of Gregory McDougal. Mitch Brown takes that position at the line, but McDougal's going to fight it through turns 1 and 2. Jason Stewart right behind them, so a lot of cars going at it right now.
Yeah, definitely. You said a hornet's nest, and I don't even know if that is aggressive enough to describe this, as these guys are 2-3 wide all over the place. As we mentioned, this is a very multi-groove racetrack, and these guys are showing that off for iRacing here tonight, as some of these guys taking the very bottom, some taking the middle, some taking the top, and some of them just taking the in-between those lines. So lots of battles, lots of racing here all over the track, and Jwmpfa sending it up the inside. We said he's driving with a little bit of heart tonight, as he does have his grandma on the side of his car, and he's making a dive up the inside as a part of this battle as well. So he's looking to get up into the top 10, and he's been slowly on the climb. Started 20th and currently up to 12th, and slowly making his way forward again. So lots of moves occurring on this track, and some of these guys just trying to send it and squeeze their way into spots that aren't even really there.
2 laps away from halfway here in this race. The number 17 of Richard Stallings on the inside of Ed Bray there through turns 1 and 2. He was a bit further up than he is now early on this race. Number 17 having a lot of speed in it, but some pit road miscues there. He is now in 13th position, so trying to move himself back up towards the front. But right in front of him, he's got Ed Bray, Jwmpfa, and Jason Stewart. That Jason Stewart himself running in the 10th position, so kind of holding on to the back end of that top 10. There's Jared Mogard. He's fallen a few positions back as well. We saw him march his way towards the front after that long green flag run, but is now in 15th position. Might have spent that last pit stop getting a little bit more damage fixed if he wasn't able to get it all the first time around. So definitely something to look out for. But here is a bit further up towards the front, Craig Stykes and Corey Silva still at it for third. Mitch Brown and Sam Maxwell going at it for the 6th position. So a lot of battles all over the racetrack, and looks like Nicholas Cohan has got himself out to about a 9/10 of a second lead right now. So that 21 showing its short run speed once again, and Will Worsler had a good try there a few laps ago, but that 21 just kind of scooting away once again.
Yeah, Worsler had started to work the bottom after Cohan had blocked the top line, just trying to make something work, and it didn't happen. And I think Worsler was content with moving back up to the top line and saving his tires, hoping for a long run. We've seen Stykes here all over the back of Silva, so Stykes may have a little bit more in his car than we've seen early on in this race. He started 10th, currently up to 4th, and looking for 3rd. But this pack of 3 here is starting to close up a little bit. I think Silva has a little bit for possible
66 sideways. Sorry to interrupt you there, AJ. Ooh, we got trouble 17 sideways in turn 4. So that accident not yet over with, but it looks like that we have no caution here. So apologies there again, AJ. Have some issues around the racetrack. There's Ed Bray, and then 17 getting sideways right after that. So he was the biggest loser out of that one, actually going full around through the grass there. See what happened here. You saw the 17 trying to lap the 64. Billy Wise just kind of gets into the 66 and ends up losing out himself. So definitely not what he wanted. He's all the way back. The last car in the lead lap, 19th position. Right in front of the leader actually now.
Yeah, it looked like they were using the bottom line, the middle line, and then that in-between line between the bottom and middle. And I don't think all 3 of them knew that all 3 of them were there, and just a little bit of contact sent the 17 around, but no caution. The 17 ended up on the infield, and as we had learned last week in the ASRS race, that the iRacing doesn't always throw cautions at everything, and this definitely wasn't a caution. These guys are still running some green flag laps, which is really good for Corey Silva. He was just talking to us in the interview about how he wants a long green flag run to try to get Cohan later on in the run, and this group of 3 right here definitely probably hoping for a long flag run. As Nicholas Cohan has shown his speed primarily in that early to middle stint. We've seen now twice Worsler been able to work up to the back of Cohan early on in the stint, but once we get about 10 laps into the stint, it seems like that gap increases for Cohan, increases further away from Worsler and these guys. But then the longer this goes on, these three slowly start inching their way back up, and they were just about to the back of Kohan at the end of that last stint, and it didn't quite work out. And here we can see on our screen the 66 of Edward Bray looking back to the inside of Fernando Matos in the 71. Matos, Sim Possible driver, was a road course driver by trade, and before he joined Sim Possible, and we've kind of worked his way into the ovals. He's doing a great job on the ovals, on the lead lap right now, doing a great job of holding on to the outside of Ed Bray. And Matos, one of those drivers that always puts a smile on your face. He's always in our team communications, making everybody laugh before the race, always has great jokes to share. As we can see on our screen right now, Corey Silva looking to the outside of Will Worsler. We had just mentioned that Silva and Stykes might have a little bit more in their cars than we initially thought, and these guys both trying to look to get by Worsler as Silva is able to there, and Stykes is all over the back of him now.
Silva making it look easy there around the outside. That's kind of where you have to pass here tonight. It looks like the inside line just not able to get the momentum off the corner, but he's able to make that move into second and try to do something, see if he can do something with that 21. About 1.8 seconds down the road now. See him running a little bit higher on the racetrack than the 29 and the 57 behind him. So maybe Corey Silva trying to do that whole long run thing that we were talking about. And we know that's what these drivers are probably looking out for. That 21 probably not able to be beaten on a shorter run, but if these drivers can save their tires and kind of have a little bit left at the end, probably the best way to run that 21 down and maybe pass him. A couple of retirements from the race. Daniel Deffler and Brad Wetzel taking their cars behind the wall, as well as Jack Wells. So that is your fourth retirement of the race right there, and definitely not good to see that. There you see the lap times on the screen, 23.080 and a 23.063 for Corey Silva. So a little bit faster at this stage in the run, at least last time by. So see if he can do something with that 21 a little bit down the road. But pretty much single file here for the first 5-6 spots. First battle on the racetrack. First battle on the racetrack. Looks like it's a bit of a hornet's nest around the bottom end of the top 10. Sam Maxwell, Gregory McDougall, and Nick Curling going at it. As well as Mitch Brown right there at the front end of it. So all these drivers trying to kind of get up there and do something. Mitch Brown, I got to say, he's done a pretty good recovery. Of course, being the first caution of the night and having a bit of damage on that car, but he's got himself right back up in that 6th position. So good to see that. And Mitch Brown, actually the most recent winner in the ASRS series. A really crazy race at Las Vegas. If you have a chance to go check that one out right here on 3 Wide TV, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed in that race. And frankly, I don't think you'll be disappointed in any of the races that you would turn into 3 Wide TV on. I kind of want to half toot my own horn, but toot your guys' horns, and you guys put on some great broadcasts, but it's made possible by the absolutely fantastic racing. I've been able to be a part of these ASRS broadcasts for the last few weeks now, and I don't think it can get better each week, and then it gets better each week. And Las Vegas surely did not disappoint and was even better than the previous week. So I'm excited to continue to work those races and see what these guys have to put on. And you can see just from this broadcast alone that these guys put on some fantastic racing, as there's battles all over the track consistently, and something to focus on, someone to talk about, and these guys just never stop putting on great shows.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Lee Staples and Sean Music going at it for the 15th position. Staples on that inside line, Music on the outside. Looks like Staples might get the run here off of turn number 2. Yes, he does, and gets right in front of that number 133 down the backstretch. Move him up to 15. He's able to hold his position on Music there, but these drivers, it's like their number 133 has a bit of damage on it. I'm not sure where it came from. It has some right front and left rear damage, so the car has been ran into from something and probably ran into something else itself. But kind of looking at the right side of it, it says deer meat for dinner on the hood as well. Good looking car, but a bit perplexed at the sponsor. But either way, a bit further near the front, Gregory McDougall, that's a hard word for me to say. I'm not sure why, but he's running in 8th position right behind Sam Maxwell, title sponsor of the ASRS Truck Series. doing a pretty good job. Sam Maxwell has had a really low-key but good day all night so far, really. Running right up there in the top 10 all night. Has not really put a foot wrong, but has not really able to get himself up above the 5th or 4th position as well. So it looks like he's kind of just chilling out there and maybe waiting for later on to do something.
Yeah, and we also see Gregory McDougall. He's been working that inside line the entire night and is not going to give it up. Continually just currently following Sam Maxwell, but we'll give a little peek here and there. Definitely making that bottom line work out the way that he wants it. Right behind McDougall is Nick Curling in that green car. You can see Curling's had a pretty solid night. Started 9th, is currently in 9th, so very consistent. Haven't had to talk a lot about him because he's been consistent. He hasn't been a high riser or low faller, but some of these guys can be the most dangerous later on in the race. If stuff goes crazy, who knows what you can see. And on track there, you can see Fernando Matos looking to the inside of Sean Music right there. And as you mentioned, Music definitely has a little bit of damage on that car, and I think it's slowing him up just a little bit. But Matos, you can tell, has tapped the wall a little bit, and this A car is probably a little bit different than what he's used to. And it's impossible we've been running the B car, and the aero packages are two completely different things. So a whole new beast for these guys as a challenge tonight, and Fernando's definitely up for it, looking inside, trying to make some passes.
Up further towards the front, good battle between Jim Foose and Jared Mogard for the 11th position. Jim Foose has it, Jared Mogard wants it, and Jared Mogard has been having some issues on pit road, whether it be actual penalties or just fixing damage, but he's been falling a couple spots back every single pit stop for whatever reason, and has had to work his way up under green flag racing, so doing a pretty good job out there tonight. We know Jared Mogard is one of the top drivers in the ASRS league. I believe he is the points leader in the Cup series that they run on Tuesday nights, and kind of not really apt seeing him, down below the top 10. But it's been a tough night for that 00. Hasn't gone his way all night, but definitely don't count him out just yet. He got around the 42 of Jim Foose on the outside line to move himself up into that 11th position. A bit further on back, there's Fernando Matos and Ed Bray. We saw Ed Bray in trouble a little while ago with that incident in turn number 4. He's trying to kind of claw his way back up and get around that 71 of Matos. These drivers about 18 seconds behind the leader, so Nicholas Cohan is not too far away from putting all of these drivers one lap down. So they're going to have to try to get themselves kind of sorted out here and not go one lap down.
Yeah, these guys are hoping not to go one lap down, and these drivers are starting to get to unknown territory. They've gone about 50 laps and then a caution each time, and they're about 50 laps since their last caution. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself, and hopefully these guys can get a longer green flag run. But some unknown territory, especially with the track changing over the course of the night. It is now pitch black up in the sky. Lights are in full effect, and track has probably rubbered in a lot since the beginning of this race. So as we mentioned, these drivers are going to be adapting to the track over the course of the night, and here with just under 100 laps to go, these drivers still are going to have to constantly change, as track is currently just past 8 o'clock.
And you see there on the screen, bottom of it right there, the second place driver, Corey Silva, actually a little bit faster than our leader right now. That gap between those two cars is shrinking just a little bit. We'll see this time by 23.326 for Silva and a 3.21 for Cohan. So absolutely almost identical lap times there. That's kind of what they've been doing back and forth. One lap Nicholas Cohan will be a little bit quicker, and then the next lap Corey Silva will be a little bit quicker. And that's not what Corey Silva wants to see. He wants to see that gap decrease each and every lap. But definitely, is last time by 3.97 for Cohan and a 2.58 for Corey Silva. So right there, pretty much every other lap that 92 is about a 10th quicker than Nicholas Cohan, and the gap down to about 1 second now.
Yeah, I think this 92, like he said he wanted, it's starting to get to that longer run phase where he believes he has a better car than Cohan. So this longer run's starting to play into his favor, and it seems to be that he's either slightly faster than Cohan or the same speed. He's not really losing any time on this every other lap, and it's working out very well for him. Was able to make up another 10th on that lap. So slowly starting to reel in our leader, the 21 of Nicholas Cohan.
McDougal and Curling going at it for the 8th position here. Curling on that inside line, McDougal on the outside, right behind that number 9. You have Sam Maxwell off turn number 4. Almost contact there, and I believe that McDougal actually got in the wall, throwing a bit of sparks up, but that's going to be no problem whatsoever. Here's Tim Knott and Lee Staples going at it for the 13th position. Some contact there as well. So now that we're past that 50 mark, or 50 lap mark, it looks like these drivers a little bit more apt to kind of run each other up the track and run into each other. And you see the gap to the lead now down to 0.7 of a second for Corey Silva. So he is absolutely making gains on that Nicholas Cohan machine. And this might be the first time we've seen that 21 challenge all night, AJ.
Yeah, this 21 is definitely a good challenge. We've seen here and there that Will Worsler had been able to make a challenge, but it's a new competitor now. The 92 of Corey Silva runs a little bit of a different line than the 29 of Worsler. So, and even then, Worsler's been slowly catching this leader as well of Cohan. So both of these guys starting to move forward, but Silva definitely making the most headway towards our leader, and going to try to shake things up a little bit here just past lap, or on lap 161.
Right there, Fernando Matos in the 71 going 1 lap down. So that leaves 17 cars on the lead lap right in front of our leader. You also have the 66 of Ed Bray and the 133 of Sean Music. You see those cars right through the windshield of this 21, but the gap pretty much stagnant for the last couple laps, about 0.7 of a second. Corey Silva navigating his way around the lap traffic as well. So he's going to want to see if that number 20 can get held up by some lap traffic, and they were side by side for a moment right there out of turn number 2, but it looks like they Edward Bray was able to get around Sean Music and get themselves back to single file. So we might have a pretty good battle of heating up for the race lead here, and maybe Corey Silva will be able to use one of those lap cars as a pick.
Yeah, battle's starting to heat up. This lap car is going to make a little bit of a difference in this. It's going to pull Corey a little bit early on, but once Nicholas is able to clear some of these lap guys, then it becomes on Corey to get by him. So it's going to be a little bit of a tug of war here for the next few laps as these guys continue to battle back and forth through this lap traffic. But the lap traffic also doing a very good job so far, working their way through. You see Steve Buhala there on pit road. He was already 2 laps down there, got out of the way of the leaders, and then ended up pitting to get fresh tires probably. And still some great battles everywhere on track, but at the moment when we have a slow increase towards our leader, that takes a little bit of precedence, and the leader's currently inside of the 66 of Edward Bray. Nicholas Cohan currently trying to make headway through our lap traffic, looking for a slide job, just barely able to get in front, almost gets up into the wall, but is able to complete the pass and check mark another way through a lap car. And now it's on Corey Silva's plate.
A little bit further on back in the field at the back half of the top 10, Troy Haight all the way back to Nick Curling. Good battle between all of these 5 cars going at it right now. The best one, Sam Maxwell and Gregory McDougal going at it for 7th. But it looks like all these cars pretty well close to each other, not able to get away from each other just yet. But McDougal not able to do anything with Maxwell, and the Steve Buhala actually taking his car behind the wall. So that is our 5th retirement of the night, and that leaves 20 cars out there on the racetrack now.
Yeah, 20 cars out on the racetrack, 15 currently on the lead lap. We do have 4 cars that are 1 lap down, so those guys are going to be trying to battle as hard as they can. We saw Edward Bray wasn't easy to lap. He's trying to hold on to his lead lap, and now trying to stay as far up as he can to stay as the lucky dog driver. But here you can see side by side Jared Mogard looking to the inside of Jason Stewart there. Currently has the edge, should be able to complete the pass, slides up in front of him right there. So Jared Mogard slowly still working his way through the field, but like we said, he's been working his way through, and then we'll have a pit stop that'll take him behind a couple spots, and we'll have to restart the process all over again.
Want to give a shout out to Nikki Worsler and Sim Possible Racing League for both of their donations. Nikki giving 5 and Sim Possible dropping, I believe, was it a $20 donation? We'll see at the bottom when it scrolls past. Yes, or 25. So thank you very much for both of those, and that is very awesome to see. What is also awesome to see is this battle here. Mitch Brown and Troy Haight going at it. Mitch Brown up to the 4th position, no rear end at all. So that 51 might be someone to look out. 29 of Will Worsler coming down pit road. So I believe that Corey Silva as well on pit road. So this looks like both of those drivers trying to do an undercut on that 21 and get some fresh tires on their cars and try to make some headway. So I believe that Nicholas Cohan is going to have to think about pitting very soon within the next 2 laps if he doesn't want to lose any time there. He likes to stay out on the racetrack for 1 more lap, but definitely the window is open. Mitch Brown coming down pit road as well. So going to be interesting to see how this all works out. Got to make sure they get their cars down to 40 miles an hour at the pit road speed line. Do not want any penalties on the entry of pit road. That would absolutely ruin any chance of any road being made there. 21 Nick Cohan coming down pit road, our race leader. So that's going to give the lead to Sam Maxwell, I believe. Actually, no, it's not, because he's coming down as well. So looks like all of these drivers all coming down pit road and getting some tires on them cars, and it's got to feel great because been a pretty long run here, and those tires have absolutely got to be past their use by date.
Yeah, we broke our 50 lap threshold. They were in uncharted territories. Last caution was on lap 110, so these drivers ended up electing to pit about 65 laps into that run and about 75 remaining, so they're going to have to go 10 longer if this thing were to stay green. But some of these guys who were not in the lead, not named Nicholas Cohan basically, probably electing to try to jump in a little bit sooner, go for the undercut and try to make up some time early on and try to find a way to get past our leader. As Jwmpfa in pit road there, and our first pitter, Will Worsler, there was able to come out right behind Nicholas Cohan on track. So he was able to come out directly behind, but Cohan also with the freshest tires might be able to make a move right away. As we can see some of our other guys on pit road, including Jared Mogart.
And Corey Silva actually was able to jump the 21 and the 29 on pit road. Well, he was already in front of Will Worsler, but that is going to give the effective race lead to Corey Silva once things do kind of cycle through, and he's got himself up to the 5th position, waiting for a couple of extra cars to to pit. That number 1 of Jason Stewart, currently your leader, followed by Nick Curling, Jared Mogart, and Sean Music. And once those 4 cars pit, that will give the lead to Corey Silva, and a good battle between him and Nicholas Cohan. This is the first time really all night that anyone has been able to get in front of that 21. We'll see how well Corey Silva is able to hold him off down the backstretch there, looking from the rear end of that 92 car, and you can see that 21 looking through turns 3 and 4 on that inside line. And we know it's tough to pass down there, but we also know that 21 is very tough to beat tonight. Down into turn number 1, we'll see if he can make the move for the race, or the effective race lead, once we get trouble. Some contact there between Silva and Cohan. They were trying to get around the lap car of, the 133 of Sean Music, who has not pitted yet. The car is a bit slower with those old tires, but you saw that Nicholas Cohan was able to get around Corey Silva there out of turn number 2. So once Jason Stewart elects to come down pit road, Sean Music actually still on the racetrack, but there's Jason Stewart coming down pit road. So that's going to give the lead back to Nicholas Cohan right here at the line. And I'm sure Corey Silva probably kicking himself there. He probably is a little bit unhappy with the way that went out of turn number 2 with him having the lead and all, but either way, that is how it played out. But a lot of lap traffic there in front of the leader, Nicholas Cohan. You see Tim Knott there, Lee Staples, and the 72 of Michael Krobach. So maybe Corey Silva will have another opportunity here in just a moment.
Yeah, Silva might have an opportunity soon with lap traffic, but also he was able to close in that distance on the pit stop for the hopeful long run that he's hoping for. So Corey Silva said that his car was a little bit better on the long run and is probably hoping for a long run here, but while he was able to undercut and make up the positions, Cohan does have probably 2 laps fresher tires. Not sure exactly when they both pitted relative to each other, but Cohan with slightly fresher tires, but Cohan is in that window that he had been the fastest. Caution!
Ooh, right in front of the leader, I saw somebody getting in trouble there. There's Jason Stewart and I believe Michael Krobach happened right in front of the leader there, but there's the number 1 turned around there in turn number 4. Let's see what happened here in the replay. It's like one of these two were just kind of moved up in front of the 72. Might not have known he was there, and he went around there in the third turn. And luckily for Nicholas Kohan, he was able to not be involved in that, because that was very close to potentially being something that he did not want to happen there. But our third caution of the night so far.
Yeah, it looked like the one adjacent Stewart was clear coming off of turn 2, but as they worked their way onto the front stretch, or on the back stretch, that outside car was able to get the good run off the corner to just get back up onto the outside of him. And the way that the iRacing spotter works, he wouldn't have heard from his spotter that there was a car on his outside until it was too late, because the spotter would have said clear as they were coming through too, as he was clear for the slide job, but just didn't make it fast enough and just led to our third caution of the night.
And now I would have to say that maybe the gears in these drivers' heads are turning a little bit. We have only about 10 or so laps on the tires now, maybe a little bit less than that for some of these drivers, but we know that 21 is very, very fast out here tonight. I would not be surprised to see somebody run in there in the top 5, try to take 2 tires and maybe just try to do something, because it's been kind of hard for anyone to make anything happen. But either way, that does not happen, and Nicholas Kohan wins the race off pit road. Looks like everybody kind of elects to go with the safe 4-tire strategy, and there you see the rest of the field coming off pit road. Looks like the 66 of Ed Bray electing to stay on the racetrack for the time being, so on 11-lap old tires, and might be trying to do that himself. Actually, no, he likes to come down pit road right now, so that's going to give the lead back to Nicholas Kohan. But why don't we see if we can try to talk to somebody? Maybe we'll see if we can try to dial up somebody here in the Discord. Let's get Craig Stykes up here. He's currently your 4th place driver. Hey, Craig Stykes, this is Cameron Rich up here in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, you got me?
Yes, I do. Looks like you're running right up there in the 3rd position. You've had a pretty good night all night, right up there in the top 5. Not able to really get up there and challenge that number 21 or the 92 just yet, but so you're doing pretty well out there. Kind of just tell us how your race has gone so far, and what do you have anything to beat those 2 cars in front of you?
I don't think I have anything to beat them, no. And I think Will's definitely faster than me on the long run too. I'm just honestly learning. I haven't done much asphalt racing in the last year, and just learning, man. This new package is it's tough to figure out. So hopefully we can get something figured out in this last run. Hopefully we can go green and see what happens. I don't know. It'd be awesome to get a top 5 and go from there.
Well, if that's your learn, I wish when I signed up on iRacing, I was that good at learning. But definitely a good run so far. We've seen the track descend from kind of sunset into the darkness. Just kind of tell us how that's changed things from your perspective.
Just days that, at the start of the run when the sun was out, I really didn't know what I was doing. Just hanging on, trying to figure out how to be fast on the long run, and now I've kind of figured it out. So the night really hasn't affected me much because I didn't know what I was doing in the daytime. Will Worcster's really helped me out with these asphalt cars, and it's showing. This is just a testament to what he's done as far as helping me out learning the track and being able to jump in here and hopefully end up with a decent finish.
Very cool stuff. Well, you do have a shout out from the track from the wife of the driver you're talking about, Nikki Worcester, saying "Go Craig," so that might be a little bit more incentive to keep that 29 behind you. But either way, Craig, thank you very much for talking with us, and we're going to hopefully talk to you again after this race.
Yeah, I appreciate Nikki cheering me on. My wife could care less about this stuff, so at least I got one fan.
I definitely feel that, bro. Well, good luck the rest of this race, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was your 3rd place driver, Craig Stykes, and right now we are doubled up for another restart here, AJ.
Yeah, doubled up for another restart. That was our 3rd caution of the day. So these drivers doing a really good job, 250 laps. It's gone by pretty decently quick so far, and lots of fast tracks, fast laps, and side-by-side battles throughout the field. And I would only expect that to intensify here getting down. We're on lap 187 of 250, so the ending is near, and these guys can smell the blood in the water as green flag is out. 21 of Nicholas Kohan gets a good jump to get out to the front of this field.
Straight on the loud pedal for that 21. Has a couple car lengths over the 57 of Craig Stykes. We just talked to him. He says he doesn't have the pace here, but he's up into the second position under fire from Corey Silva. Silva on that inside line, trying to get around that 57. We've seen Corey Silva be really the only driver to even put a legitimate challenge on that 21 all night, so he probably wants to get ahead of him and try to make something happen for himself. But right behind him, you see Will Worsler, and I believe that's Gregory McDougall up there in the 5th position going at it. Gregory McDougall has been a pretty low-key driver all day. We've talked about him a bit, but he's been around the bottom half of the top 10, now running in the 5th position, so might have some speed in reserve in that 0-1 machine side by side between Silva and Worsler there. Silva on the outside line. He wasn't able to get around that 57 and now under fire from some other drivers there. Will Worsler kind of backing out there into turn number 3. I think he didn't like his chances of the inside line there. Ooh, caution out on the racetrack once again. Not sure what happened there, but 41 of Tim Knott around in turn number 2, I believe. He's going to get himself, excuse me, that's turn number 4. He's going to get himself turned around side by side with Maxwell. Maxwell looks like he lost the car under braking or something and just kind of pinched that 41 around. So unfortunate there, but really not much either driver could do. See from the blimp camera here that 98 was sideways into the corner and just doing everything he could to save it. Thank goodness the 41 was there, because that kind of helped him in not losing his car.
Yeah, not trying to be a wordplay, but it helped him not turn his car by hitting Tim Knott. But the 98 of Sam Maxwell just sent it in a little too far into the bottom there into turn 3 and just got loose up into him. But some of these drivers, after just a couple laps electing to pit, you can see our leader right there, Nicholas Kohan, on pit road there. But some of our other front runners, Craig Stykes, Corey Silva, Gregory McDougall, all deciding to stay out. So you had mentioned the gears starting to turn, and here it is. These guys are deciding whether or not to pit on just a couple lap old tires, and we are going to have 2 completely different strategies starting here now.
Yeah, it looks like about 7 or 8 cars staying out. Actually, a little bit more than that. I believe about 10 or 11 staying out. So that number 21 is going to be really as far back as he's been all night. He hasn't been really, besides the start of the race, he hasn't been lower than the lead. So it's definitely going to be a different thing for him once we go back green here, trying to get himself through the field. We know it's tough to pass here, so I'm going to be interested to see how easy that 21 is able to get through the pack once we go back green here. But lucky dog here, 71 of Fernando Matos. He's going to get back on the lead lap, so that's going to put 19 cars on the lead lap. We'll see if we can find someone else to talk to here. Let's go and interview Fernando Matos. AJ, you said that he was always a good interview, and I'll let you take this one away.
Yeah, Fernando Matos, we've talked about you a couple times tonight. You got yourself back on the lead lap. Tell us about your night so far.
It's been good. I mean, I've been on the back around 15, 16, but I've been having good fights. Really enjoyable race so far.
Yeah, being initially a road course racer as you were, now into ovals and now with this new A car, tell us about how the car itself feels compared to what you've been doing with the B car in Sim Possible.
Yeah, this has a lot more grip, I feel. So it's been getting used to the new grip, trying to get on the gas sooner, on the brake later. So it's been a learning curve, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, you're enjoying it and you're doing a great job out there. You've been plus on the night. You started 23rd and have been, like you said, it's been 15th, 16th the whole night. So far doing so well. And just so you know, there have been a lot of fans in the chat that have been cheering you on tonight. So keep it up and best of luck the rest of this race.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody in the chat.
Always a good thing to hear from Cheeky Nando, who I like to call. It was always a fun interview there, but we are actually 1-2 green now, so we'll go ahead and reset the field for you real quick. After that little bit of a shakeup there, currently your leader is 57 of Craig Stykes, followed by Corey Silva, Gregory McDougal, Nick Curling, and Jared Mogart just got himself up to the 5th position. Mitch Brown in 6th, Lee Staples, Ed Bray, Nicholas Cohan in 9th, and Will Worsler in 10th. So AJ, this is definitely going to be an interesting restart with these different tire strategies, and I'm definitely going to be looking at that 21 car and the 29 to see how easy they're able to make their way through the pack, because really for both of those drivers, it's the furthest back they've been all night.
Yeah, many different tire strategies, but also just danger possibilities. This 21 now is going to have to work through traffic, and who knows, something could go wrong at any given time. So these drivers are going to be up a little bit on their toes, and green flag is out. These drivers are taking off. Craig Stykes, who we had just talked to the previous caution, gets off to a really good start, able to take the lead as him and Corey Silva go single file to take the front two. They're going to be able to pull away a little bit. Gregory McDougal up into 3rd, but with Nick Curling right on his outside in that green car. 3 green cars or green related cars up here towards the front right now.
We were side by side there for a little bit, but they got themselves single file. Gregory McDougal on the inside line trying to ground Nick Curling, but that 45 has a lot of momentum on the outside. Now he's under fire from Mitch Brown, who cuts him off there right down the backstretch. That was very close. Ooh, trouble! Mitch Brown gets into the 0-1 and sideways, saves it, but we are 4 wide there for a moment, and it looks like the whole field kind of scattering around that little incident there. Kind of got a hornet's nest here. We'll see what happened on the replay real quick. I don't think that Mitch Brown was too happy about that move from McDougal. Might have kind of just given a little bit of a shove there in the corner there, but 4 wide after there on a track that's about 5 cars wide. So absolutely amazing stuff. We're still 3 and 4 wide here in turn 3 and 4. Very dangerous position to be in for all of these drivers. They're still trying to scatter everywhere, and it looks like for the time being that's going to happen. But another absolutely amazing save in turn 3 from the 0-1 car, and Mitch Brown now losing a bit of positions from that. He's got himself back to the 7th position behind Jared Mogart and Troy Haight battling for the 5th position. Here is the 21 of Nicholas Cohan. He's got himself up to the 3rd position already, and Will Worsler still back in the 8th position. So Nicholas Cohan absolutely on fire right now. I think there's absolutely no doubt whether that number 20 was going to be able to get through the packs. Ooh, 72 in the wall there. It looks like a lot of cars in the wall there. That little hornet's nest that kind of developed after that incident in turn 3 is still not really going away. Everybody kind of scattering around and trying to find somewhere to run. But this looks like Interstate 64 at about 5 o'clock rush hour time here around Iowa Speedway. So a lot of really close racing here. Looking from the side of Jim Foos's car, and now we're on board with, I believe that was Gregory McDougal in the 0-1 car, side by side here. But,
yeah, with 49 to go here, a lot of these guys starting to buzz a little bit, trying to make up positions. It's getting a little, clock is ticking down. It's getting a little less cautious here like we had seen earlier, and these guys driving a lot tighter. We had seen early on when they were side by side, it was kind of one on the bottom, one on the top, and maybe a little bit of sliding here and there, but these guys not wanting to give an inch back and forth, and then just that little bit of tap, and fantastic save by Gregory McDougal actually bunched that whole field together and just made the Hornets' nest even worse. But as we had mentioned, Nicholas Cohan able to get through that very well, currently up in 3rd. We have that front 4 going, and Will Worsler kind of got caught back in that mess, still trying to work his way through everything. And Jared Mogart is actually kind of one of the winners out of this as well, as he had been down there the whole night, and he's currently up in 6th, side by side with Mitch Brown. But as we mentioned earlier, and we've been mentioning the whole time, we have side by side battles everywhere, including this big train right here.
Up towards the front, like you said, Nicholas Gowan has caught the number 92 of Corey Silva. Has not been able to get around him just yet, but we know that 21 is very fast tight, and it might be a matter of time before he gets around Corey Silva. But both Corey Silva and Craig Stykes doing a pretty good job out here at the front of the field, keeping that 21 behind him. So we'll see how long that's able to last, and maybe Corey Silva able to figure out something with that 21 behind him. But this is an absolute huge Hornets nest right here. This is around, I want to say around 10th place or around 12th place on back. So really led by the number 133 of Sean Music down to about 16th, 17th, 18th place. Really the last cars on the lead lap there. So they're all bunched up on board here with the 21 Nicholas Kohan. He's right up behind that number 94. Really couldn't put much room between those two cars through 3 and 4. And got to think that Craig Stykes is loving what he's seeing in his mirror. See if these two drivers can go side by side and give him some breathing room here. About 43 laps to go. But side by side on the inside line, Nicholas Kohan out of turn number 2. He gets himself trying to get himself right in front of that 92. Does a slide job move off of turn number 4. Not clear, I don't think, but he's going to make himself some room there. And doesn't actually pull all the way in front of Corey Silva there, but very close there, but he's going to have to concede the position to Nicholas Kohan, move him up to the 2nd position.
Yeah, Craig Stykes had mentioned he didn't think he had anything for these guys, but currently holding a 7/10 lead and trying to hold on to it as Kohan just took 2nd. Is going to have some clean track now to be able to work ahead. But this Hornet's Nest, it's not shaking itself out anytime soon. But we might need to knock it down from the tree here before they get too wild. But Jwmpfa right up in the middle of that in the 42. You can see the 72 as well there, Michael Krobach. These guys all trying to work the bottom and make it work, but there's just a pack of wild dogs back here who have meat on the back of their competitors, and they're trying to chase after it. Richard Stallings is back up in the mix there in that yellow and blue car, but we had just seen Gregory McDougall got just spun with a fantastic save up towards the front of that pack, and now he's trying to work his way back through in the 0-1 there.
Almost had some 3 wide there into turn number 3 with Maxwell, McDougall, and Sean Music, but they got themselves a single file there. Under 40 laps to go here. If you like what you have seen tonight, go ahead and drop a donation there on the chat. There's a link there, so we would definitely appreciate any and all donations for the rest of this event. Got to thank everybody who has donated so far. You guys are all awesome, and we love you all, but definitely could use a little bit more. So this is a charity race. All the proceeds do go to the name of the race, and we will definitely be a good cause there. But a lot of racing up here at the right behind the 10th position, really, between all these drivers. Oh, some very close racing there. And there is your 2nd place driver, Nicholas Kohan, 0.3 of a second behind Craig Stykes, so it might be a matter of time before he gets himself back up to lead. And Will Borsler not really able to make much ground himself after that pit stop. He's still kind of mired back in 8th position, 5.9 seconds behind the leader. So that number 21 able to get around the traffic a lot quicker than the 29. I actually see a little bit of damage on Will Borsler's car on the front end, really on the right front and the left front. So he has hit something, and it's only time will tell if that's affecting his performance or not. But Corey Silva actually not letting that 21 get too far out in front of him. He's actually got below him there through turns 3 and 4 and trying to make something happen for him. He's really been one of the drivers all night that has been able to run down that 21 and make something and give him a legitimate challenge. So coming down to the end of this race, 35 laps to go now. Definitely it is go time. 21 looking on the low side of that 57 of Craig Stykes for the lead. And Craig Stykes saying he's not a asphalt driver, doing a very good job out there trying to keep that 21 at bay, and he's actually been able to do it. So, you know, AJ, I'm not sure if you are a dirt driver yourself, or you kind of delve in dirt, but really I would think a track like this would play into a dirt driver's hands, because, you know, dirt drivers have to go out and search for the grip and run all over the racetrack, and Craig Stykes doing a good job out there right now.
Yeah, there are definitely aspects of this race that play well into a dirt driver's hands. The fact that the track is going to be ever changing, the fact that there are so many different lines that any of them can really work depending on how you drive it. So both of those things are going to play into his hands. But something that isn't is when we had talked to some of these drivers, they said it is very tight here. So that tight feeling is not something that a dirt driver is going to be used to. They like a loose race car. They like to have that loose feeling. As we see the 21 look into the bottom of the 57. The 57 had scraped the wall coming out of 4 that previous lap. So Stykes definitely pushing it. Caution is out. I believe Stykes was ahead when that caution came out. He does look like he's pulling ahead of Kohan, but caution is out here on the racetrack. We are on lap 220, as you can see Edward Bray sliding there on the at the exit of pit road, heading into 1.
Yeah, that was a accident that really took a long time to develop. That 66 got in the wall out of turn number 4 and kind of got the rear end wiggling around like a dog, and it kind of ended up in turn number 1. Doesn't look like too much damage on that machine. It definitely got it sideways there, and on the wall there you see that right front fender a little bit pushed up there and kind of tapped the wall once again, but he was able to drive away from it. And well, about 30 laps to go here in this race. What do you do here?
I have no answer for sure as what you do, but the one thing that does seem to be synonymous is everybody deciding to come pit in some fashion. We'll see if everybody takes 4. I would bet everybody's going to take 4. It was a little bit of a longer stop there, but we'll see what happens. And Craig Stykes being able to be in the lead there might be able to get a little bit of a jump and come back out in the lead, but we'll see what happens because you never know what can come up in these guys' minds.
Absolutely, and this is a very important pit stop. This could be the last one of the night, so you definitely want to get in your pit stall cleanly and get down and away. And at the line, it looks like I think the 57 nipped the 21 by just a little bit, and then you see the rest of the field coming off. So Craig Stykes, we know he's got some short run speed there, and about 30 laps to go. I think the possibility of a long run is well and truly out of the window. Well, I don't think that's is absolutely the case. But we'll see if he's able to hold off that 21, or maybe Corey Silva able to do something with that 21. But we know that Nicholas Kohan has been very quick all night on those short runs right after the green flag. So only time will tell. Let's go ahead and see if we can talk to somebody else here real quick. See who's in here to actually get a word with. Let's dial up the 01 of Gregory McDougall real quick. He was kind of involved in something on the track a little while ago. Get his kind of take on what happened there. He's currently finding himself in the 14th position, but we'll dial him up for a quick word. Hey, Gregory McDougall, this is Cam Rich up here in the 3x TV booth. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
All right, man. Well, it looks like you were having a very solid night up there, running in the top 10 all night, but kind of got yourself sideways there in turn 3. Now find yourself in 14th. What happened?
I was going into 3, and I just got run over from behind. I mean, there's just no other way.
It definitely seems a bit frustrating for you, but kind of tell us from your perspective how the race has gone really before that. Did you have confidence in your speed, and how's the track change and all that?
As far as speed goes, cars are pretty fast for the first 10 laps, and they just fall off. They get really pushy. I started in the back just because I didn't get a whole lot of practice in before the race. Cars aren't handling too bad. Definitely more of a long run setup.
Well, it looks like that you have just a little bit of damage there on the right front, but not too much should be affecting you that much. So, running it in 13th, do you think you can get yourself back up in that top 10 and maybe get a top 5 out of it?
Possibly. Definitely a top 10. Probably not a top 5. It's just really hard to pass here. And I'm sure you guys are seeing it, but even if you're a good bit faster than the car in front of you, it's just, they get so pushy, it's just really hard to pass. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking with us, and good luck the rest of the race.
Thank you.
All right. Well, looks like 27 laps to go here, and we're going to double up for another green flag in just a moment, and have 26 laps to go. Nice little short track shootout on a Thursday night for charity, so going to be a good little race to the end. And I'm really excited to see how this battle between the 57 of Craig Stykes and the 21 of Nicholas Cohan goes, because our 57 did a good job of kind of holding that 21 off, and see if he can do that once again. But one more retirement from the race. Edward Bray, last caution, he decided to take his car behind the wall and into the garage. So he had a good run going there a little bit early on this race. Some unfortunate things happening, and taking his car behind the wall. But green flag out once again on the loud pedal is that 57, and looks like Corey Silva might be able to get himself into second place. He actually does, and look for the lead there for a moment. Oh, some contact between him and Nicholas Cohan behind him. So we see some bumping and shoving here with 26 laps to go at Iowa Speedway. But Corey Silva on the outside line, Nicholas Cohan on the inside line. And that's given a good run for that 57 of Craig Stykes. He sees that in his mirror, and he's loving what he's seeing. And don't count out that 51 of Mitch Brown. He has no rear end, but that's not going to matter whatsoever, because he is doing pretty good there in the fourth position. And then Troy Haight and Jared Mogard, two drivers who we have talked about a bit tonight as well. But Nicholas Cohan out of turn number 4 gets himself in front of Corey Silva. He's going to do a bit of a slide job move there and get himself into that second position. Here comes Mitch Brown inside. See if he can make something happen, but not going to be off of turn number 2, because Corey Silva back on the outside line has a good run into turn number 3. And now we're single file for the first 4 cars.
Yeah, lots of these drivers feeling antsy. 24 to go. Push is coming to shove now. These drivers have to make moves now, especially if there is another caution. You want to be as far up as you can to get that best pit position, or to have the best opportunity on that following restart if everybody were to stay out. So a lot of these drivers trying hard to make some moves. A lot of the guys that we would expect to be up at the front are now up towards the top 10. Like you had mentioned, Jared Mogard is back into this, but the one interesting is Will Worsler is just kind of back there. I don't know if that damage is bothering him, or if he just isn't having as good of a car when he's back in traffic here, but he's not really able to make moves to get up towards the front where he had seen the whole day. But it doesn't matter, because we have some fantastic racing going on up front, especially this big battle for third. Mitch Brown had looked to the bottom, but Corey Silva able to hold off on the outside, and Jared Mogard will say, excuse me, thank you, and I'll come by on the outside as well.
Jared Mogard, we talked about him earlier on. He had some troubles early on this race, but near the end of it, he has absolutely come to life, getting himself up into that 4th position, trying to make something happen. But we are single file up at the front for about the first 10, 15 cars or so. First battle looks like you see Richard Stallings and Fernando Matos going at it. That is for the 13th position. Fernando Matos on the outside, Richard Stallings on the inside. Fernando has a good run out of turn number 2, trying to make that move into turn number 3. They're both behind the lead Staples, so good racing here further on in the back of the pack. Right in front of them, looks like Gregory McDougall. We talked to him, and Michael Krobach going at it for the 10th position. And McDougall gets around him to cement himself into that 10th position. He said that he had good thoughts about himself getting a top 10 out of this race. Probably doesn't think he can get a top 5, but time will definitely see how that happens. Under 20 laps to go here at Iowa, and your leader still Craig Stykes in that 57. He's doing a good job holding that 21 off. We'll have to see how his 20 lap pace is near the end of this run when we get down to the end of this race. But I really think that he has outdone himself here at the front of this race. He's really been the only other driver to lead it besides that 21.
Yeah, Stykes said that he didn't think he had anything, but currently he's able to hold off the 21 of Cohan, able to keep a pretty, I mean, it's only a couple tenths lead. It's still closing by the minute, or by the second. It's kind of that middle section that Cohan was best in. Caution is out on the racetrack.
I see the 42 of Jim Foose there slow in turn number, I believe that was 4. We'll have to see what happened there. Turn 2, excuse me. Watch him going through turn 3. So whatever happened a while before the accident. Ooh, trouble for Lee Staples. He actually got pitched off the wall and into Jim Foose there for whatever reason. We'll see what happened to him. He's got Richard Stallings behind him, and might have been some contact here out of 4. Yes, absolutely there was. Got that 26 sideways, and unfortunately for Jim Foose, nothing he did wrong there, just wrong place, wrong time, and was able to keep it off the wall though. But definitely that right front going to be a little bit banged up after that contact, but the good thing is that that car is not more damaged than it is.
Yeah, and luckily none of these drivers seem to have too much damage. A little bit might affect them, but nothing that's going to be race crippling. But with this caution out, there's 15 laps to go and even more gears to be turned, even more decisions to be made. A lot of these guys look like they're opting onto pit road, but we do see the 26 of Lee Staples staying out there.
Into pit road, 57 to Craig Stykes. He's really got to be thinking a lot on his mind right now. And, you know, once these 4 tire stops and fuel not really an issue anymore out of the way. 21, 2 tires actually, so he's going to come off of pit road first. And I believe your first driver on 4 tires, ooh, there's Sam Maxwell as well. I believe he might have taken 2 as well. So it's like Jared. So 2 tires for Nicholas Cohan, Jared Mogard, and Sam Maxwell. Your first driver on 4 tires was your leader before the caution, Craig Stykes. So AJ, that is a that's something. That's definitely something. That's interesting.
Well, push is coming to shove when you're down under. We're at 15 to go right now, and still going to be a couple laps under caution. So lots to be had. A lot of these drivers trying to make some moves. I think the 21 of Kohan knows that he has one of the fastest cars. It wasn't a super long run, and he probably figured a couple other people would try it too, so he'd have a little bit of a buffer. But very interesting call. I think he values track position, knowing that if he's in front, he can try to block and hold off a little bit. Meanwhile, when he was behind Stykes, he wasn't really able to get a lot done. So very interesting strategy call there for the 21 of Kohan. Is it looks like Mogard and Lee Staple, or Mogard is also right behind him, but Craig Stykes isn't far behind, and it's not over yet. These guys are going to still have a lot of racing left, and Sam Maxwell, I believe, also took 2 tires. Gregory McDougall either had a really good stop or also took 2 tires. So a lot of these guys trying to play some strategy calls to get themselves back up into it. And in all of this, we've mentioned his slow fall, Will Worsler, sadly down to 11th position right now at the end of this pit stop. So just unfortunate set of circumstances. He's slowly falling down the field. It looks like he's bumped up into 10th now as all things sorted out.
And AJ, you know this as well as anyone else. 15 laps to go here at, well, 13 laps to go now, but 13 laps on a short track is a lot different than 13 laps on a super speedway. And I say that because it can take a while depending on how this goes. So I definitely think that maybe at this point, the race is just beginning for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, it's kind of that the old physics multi-universe theory. Anything that happened can and will happen. So anything could happen for these drivers. You never know who's going to get blocked, who's going to dive it in there, who's going to go for it, and then also if there's any contact and who could get taken out of this race. So there is currently 13 laps to go. They're coming to 1 degree is my guess. We'll see if the lights come off on the pace car, but not very many laps left, especially at a small 7/8 of a mile oval like Iowa here in Newton, Iowa. But also a possibility of green-white checkered here at the end of this thing.
Definitely something to be on the minds of all these drivers. And right there on the outside of your front row, Jared Mogard, we haven't really seen him since about the first run of this race. He's kind of been mired back in traffic all night long, and we know he's one of the top drivers in the ASRS league. And he sees nothing in front of him now except for that pace car, which is something he hasn't seen all night. So maybe we'll see if that number 00 can do something, and don't look behind them as well. That number 7, Craig Stykes, and the 98 of Sam Maxwell. Maxwell on 2 tires, Stykes on 4. He's actually your first driver on 4 tires. And there's Gregory McDougall as well. He said he couldn't get a top 5, probably not. And then right next to him, Corey Silva. But we're going to see what happens here on this restart. Pace car makes the hard left turn into the pit road, and green flag out with 11 laps to go here at Iowa. Good start for that 21 of Nicholas Cohan. He's been good all night. Right into second place. Here comes the 57 of Craig Stykes. He's going to want to use that advantage of the tires as early as he can to get himself right behind, or right around that 00, because he knows that 00 has 2 tires and he knows he is on 4. But Jared Mogard doing a good job to hold him off. Good battle between Mitch Brown and Corey Silva for the 5th position. Corey Silva was one of the fastest cars earlier on. He's finding himself behind a couple cars, stuck on the inside line. Can't really do anything right now. 51 of Mitch Brown kind of in front of him, going at it with Sam Maxwell through turns 3 and 4. That's for the 4th position. And looks like Mitch Brown's going to take it just for a moment. But here comes Maxwell back on the outside line. And Mitch Brown into turn 1 might be trying to dive it in there and make something happen. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it just yet. Try to do a slide job off of turn number 2. Can't do it. Not enough room there. But right up at the front of the race, Nicholas Cohan has got about a 0.4 of a second lead over Jared Mogard. And coming down to the end of this race, he's probably got to be thinking good of his chances right now. But further on back, who knows what's going to happen there. Good battles all around the field there with Mitch Brown and Maxwell. Mitch Brown gets around Sam Maxwell out of turn number 2, using that high side to his advantage, moving him up to the 4th position.
Yeah, as we had mentioned, this whole race, track position seems to be very important. If you can have the edge on somebody, you've been able to hold them off. Passing has been tough, as we've heard in the interviews, and Nicholas Cohan probably knew that, so only on 10 laps, decided to take 2 tires so far, making it work out front, but still a lot of battling left here for this final few positions. Right now, Mitch Brown able to hold up on 4th, Sam Maxwell in 5th, but he's got Corey Silva right behind him, and with Gregory McDougall and Will Worsler not too far in chase.
About 5 miles to go here at the Iowa Speedway, still side by side between Corey Silva and Sam Maxwell, a bit further on in the pack. Let's go on still with about a 3/4 of a second lead over Jared Mogard. And another donation from Sign On, $10. Thank you very much for that. Very awesome to see that, and you do get a kazoo for yourself. But here at the front, still the first battle on the track is Corey Silva and Sam Maxwell. Corey Silva actually pulls ahead of Maxwell by a little bit. We're looking at Troy Haight, and I believe that was Richard Stallings going at for the 11th position there. But Corey Silva pulls ahead of the 98 of Sam Maxwell. He's a little bit too far behind the 21 to make anything happen. About 2.3 seconds with only 4 laps to go. And right now it looks pretty good for Nicholas Cohan, but don't count on a caution happening or something like that, because it says short track racing and anything can happen. Sam Maxwell under fire from 01 of Gregory McDougall. That's for the 6th position. Gregory McDougall under fire himself from Michael Krobach in that 72 on the outside line. So he's going to have to be careful to make sure he doesn't lose that position before he's able to fight Sam Maxwell through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Gregory McDougall talked about he didn't think he'd be able to get back up into the top 5, and he's all over the back of Sam Maxwell, who's currently in 6th. So he was able to recover pretty strongly and up here fighting for this. But up out front, Nicholas Cohan still able to keep a pretty decent lead. Kept it at about 4/10 over Jared Mogard. Craig Sykes can't really do anything, even with those 4 fresh tires. So those 4 fresh tires must not have been a huge difference over 10 laps compared to previous long stints that we had. But still some fantastic battling here back further here in the pack.
The race is right here. There's Will Worsler on the inside line. Probably not the way he wanted his night to go. He was very fast early on, but he's battling with 45 of Nick Curling on his outside. 1 lap to go here for the 21 of Nicholas Cohan. Here comes Jared Mogard for a final dive into turn number 3. Can't make it happen. And out of turn number 4, the dominant driver all night, the number 21 of Nicholas Cohan, wins the race here at Iowa. 250 laps down in the books, and give the trophy to that driver. He was very fast all night. The dominant driver looked like he was unbeatable. Looked like he was beatable there for a little bit, but uses 2 tires to his advantage to come home with the win here. What a fantastic drive from him. And he's going to take home the winning prize of about $125.
Yeah, some fantastic racing all night. We had action all the way from the drop of the green flag to the checkered flag, but Nicholas Cohan definitely was the dominant car, definitely dominant driver tonight, as we had seen all night. He ended up where he pretty much probably deserved to be leading almost all of the laps up until that caution pit stop strategy started up. So he was able to work his way through the pack even through all that, and able to come home victorious tonight.
He's going to do a little bit of burnouts there for the fans here at Iowa Speedway on the front stretch, and definitely that number 21 showed everyone up here tonight. He was so fast and so unbeatable, and Just looked like he was out there for a Sunday drive on a Thursday, but definitely going to light up those rear tires and give the fans a little bit of show here before pulling onto pit road. And we're going to let these drivers kind of get their thoughts collected a little bit, get their final, or get out of their cars and get a little bit cooled off and kind of think about everything. And, we're going to get some interviews with you guys here very shortly. So just hang tight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Iowa Speedway. We've just concluded tonight's event here. After 250 laps, your winner, Nicholas Cohan, in the number 21 machine. He's going to take the winning prize and the trophy home with him tonight. But before we talk to him, I believe that AJ Digby has caught up with our third place finisher, Craig Stykes, once I can find him in here.
I'm the one searching for him. I'm trying to run up and down pit road, but here I think we finally found him. Craig Stykes, AJ Digby in the 3-wide booth. You had you said at the interview that you didn't know if you had anything for him, and you were able to lead, and it looked like you might have been able to sneak one away, but ended up in third position, had a fantastic race. Just kind of tell us about those final so many laps.
Yeah, Nick pretty much had the whole field covered the entire race. I just hoping to hold him off the best. It worked out really good at the end to get into first, and kind of I was hoping they'd battle a little harder in second and let me get some ground, but Nick had the fresh tires and he was able to run me down. And then we had another caution, and it was me and a few guys I was racing with couldn't decide with 2 or 4 tires. I had the 2 tires checked going down pit road, and right before I went into the pits, I went back to 4 tires, and I guess that was the wrong call, even though I might have got out first and had a chance, but as far as just outrunning on my Nick had everybody covered, it seemed like.
Yeah, it came down to a couple strategy calls there late. You never know what was going to happen. I thought 4 tires was going to work out there better for you, but you can't ever be mad about third place. Had a fantastic race all night. Just tell us about the close racing that you were able to encounter the whole night.
It was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be with this new package. I know some people love it, some people hate it, and I'm kind of in the category of the people that hate it. I've always been, easy on the throttle to keep the back in. That's been my style. That's why I enjoy driving. And, now you're just saving the front tires pretty much the entire run. And I'm just not any good at it. Luckily, I got Will Warsler to help me out because he's really good at it. I think he got some damage and stuff tonight that kind of hurt him from you know, because he was up there with Nick pretty much the entire race. He had a lot of speed, but it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it turned out better than I thought it was going to be. We got to spread out and, you know, we had some good long green flag runs, so it was fun.
Yeah, we had talked about some of your dirt driving, and does any of your dirt driving kind of translate over into Iowa? We had talked about a little bit about maybe the possible finding the different lane choices as the track changed temperatures, changed grip levels. Does anything else stick out to you that could transition to have helped you out tonight?
I'm not really good at searching for speed. I'm ever since the dynamic tracks and stuff come to iRacing, it's kind of hurt me. I've always been pretty good at, you know, if there's one fast line, I can just hit it lap after lap after lap, just consistency. And now with all the dynamic weather and track state that goes on in iRacing, whether it's dirt or asphalt, these guys that know how to move around, just like right there, I think on as the tires would wear, Nick and I think Corey was actually running the bottom in 3 and 4, and I just kept hitting that top line lap after lap, and kind of figured out there towards the end that as your tires would wear, it maybe was a little bit faster to go back to the bottom, but I just never tried it. Just need some more seat time, and you know, there's really no substitution for seat time. The more you race, you know, the more comfortable you get, and that's pretty much what I need.
Yeah, Cameron had mentioned it here in the booth. If we could go out there and do that kind of performance on minimal seat time, we'd be doing more than just being in the broadcast booth. But do you have any special shout outs for us today after a great race?
I do. Yeah, I got Will painted me up a car. I got Perky Pints on the car. We got Slice on the car. Will Worshler Racing. I appreciate Will for helping me out. He's been texting me today while I was at work. I didn't get a chance to run any practice laps, so he's been pretty much telling me in text message what I need to do to be fast. And man, it made a huge difference. I appreciate it. The rest of the guys running with us. Troy Haight, Gregory McDougall, Corey Silva was running with us. That, you know, just a few guys that was running in the race. We was able to communicate, and it really helped me out a lot because I'm kind of lost right now.
Well, limited track time, but a great coach, great teacher was able to help you come away with a fantastic third place finish tonight. Congratulations, and best of luck with whatever your next iRacing venture is.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys doing the broadcast, and Jwmpfa for putting on the race. It's a lot of fun.
And I believe next I will have our second place finisher, Jared Mogard. You had a really good start and then just kind of disappeared for most of the race. We saw you slowly trekking your way back up the field, but was able to get your car back out to the front where we expected you and able to come away in second. Just tell us about your night.
Yeah, the first round there, we just burnt the right front off and got really tired, started falling back, and then someone decided to hit us, and we had damage and ended up in the back, and it just took longer than we thought it would to get back up there, but made a couple moves at the end and gambled on that last yellow to take 2 to get the track positioned, and got back up there at the end. I thought maybe we had something for Nick, but we didn't. We were even with them. We weren't really fast, we were just pretty even with them.
Do you think if you were able to have 4 tires even with Nick that you would have been able to have anything for him, or was he just a little bit too good tonight?
No, I mean, it might have been a little bit closer, but he had it covered. These new Cup cars are pretty hard to pass when you're leading the pack like that. So, and we only had a few laps on them tires, so they didn't make that much of a difference. But yeah, he had the track position there at the end, and we gave her everything. Through that attempted slider, I figured maybe I could scare him into the wall, but it didn't work. I about spun myself out.
Yeah, we saw you try to make that dive and try to make it work. It didn't quite work, but we had seen up here in the booth, there was side-by-side racing all night, and you experienced it on your way up through the field. I know it's tough to pass with this new package, but how did it work out here tonight at Iowa?
Yeah, like I said, after that first run, I just burnt the right front off, and I knew I was in trouble, so I had to figure something out quick. And From the second run on, we figured it out, and we were just able to save our tires a little bit and pick them off one by one there. You probably noticed, it didn't really go anywhere the first 10 laps or so, but after about lap 15, we started picking them off a little bit, like one by one, and that was the key. Just had to wait for them to burn their stuff up and save it and try to get them when you could.
Well, we can see there on screen your lowest position was 20th, but you ended up in second place tonight. Any special shout-outs for tonight?
Yeah, I just gotta thank iBuy Power Computers, Security Reports, and all the guys at MOSRN. Thank my buddy Jack for kind of spotting me there after he had to take a phone call and ended his night, so thank him for that. Thank Jim for this event. I know it means a lot to him, his grandma, and her memory. So it was fun to be a part of it. It was a pretty good race. Like I said, it was fun. It just didn't really go our way, but we got back up there, finished second. So just hats off to Jim and everybody, and you guys for the broadcast and all the fans for tuning in and everything. And we'll go on to next week.
Again, congratulations on the second place finish here tonight at a fantastic Iowa race, and good luck next week.
Yeah, thank you. Congrats to Nick again. Thank you.
And speaking of Nick, I believe Cameron Rich, my partner up here in the booth, is found out where Nick is hiding.
Yeah, I got him right here. Nick Cohan, you got a copy?
I got you.
All right. Well, good to talk to you. Interview over. No, I'm just kidding. Pretty dominant run for you tonight. It looked like you had the field covered from lap 1 till lap 250. Kind of just talk us through your night. What do you think kind of made you so fast out there?
Yeah, I think it was track position, to be honest with you. I don't really think I was that much faster than everybody. I think it was just you have such a big advantage on these starts when you're the leader. You just have the clean air, and it's very hard to pass when you're behind somebody with these new Cup cars. They got like a barn door for a spoiler, so it's real hard to get around anybody. You have to try real hard on the first couple laps. But other than that, just saving tires, just trying to keep it off the wall. Try to take care of it. I think it just kissed the wall maybe once tonight, so that's good. Kept all the fenders on it, and just played my cars right. We had those long runs there. Saved my tires pretty good, but Corey was really quick on the long runs. Just it was a tough night. I know it looked pretty easy probably on the broadcast, but I'm sweating like crazy right now. I was driving the wheels off this thing. So, shout out to CJ Automotive for being on the car. And of course, dedicate this one to Jwmpfa and his family, and Janet, of course. I appreciate him inviting me to this race, and it is Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month, so it's a good night for that. And I'm glad Jim put this together, and you guys are broadcasting that tonight. Also happy we won it. It was a great race. It was really fun. Craig was going to be hard to pass there towards the end. I was a little worried I wasn't going to be able to get around him. When that caution came out with about 15 to go, I knew right away I was taking 2 tires because that thing was so tight. I knew it wasn't going to spin out. So it worked out good. Like I said, just happy to be here tonight, and it was a great race.
With the track kind of starting the race in the sunset kind of conditions and then descending into darkness, how did the track change throughout the night for you from your perspective?
It didn't really change too much. I think your lines changed a little bit different because you'd see on the restarts, pretty much everybody was running the same lanes 1 and 2, and then in 3 and 4. You'd run the bottom on the first lap, but then everybody would run that top seam there. It seemed like as the race went on later on, you could run that top lane longer. Just felt like there was a little bit more grip up there. But when we had those long runs there in the beginning, when the sun was still out, there was some heat in the track, a little less rubber. You could run that bottom. I kind of picked up Corey doing that. I really wasn't sure the bottom was going to work that well that long, and I was, watching the lap times, and Corey was making up time on the bottom, so I moved to the bottom and seemed to equal out. So thanks to Corey for showing me that lane. It worked out good. The track changed, but it wasn't crazy as much as you'd think. Just had to be careful on corner exit, especially off turn 4, because that wall really would come out to grab you if you weren't paying attention.
Absolutely. Well, you are going to take home a pretty good chunk of change after this one, about $125 going to your credit. So really can't complain about that one. But before we let you go, Nick, you got any shout outs you want to give us?
Yeah, I'm happy to win that because I can I can see I'm losing a lot of money on DraftKings tonight. But yeah, of course, got to give a shout out to CG Automotive for being on the car. All my teammates at Disney Motorsports, great group of guys. Love racing with them. Perk Coffee, Tapui, Rooftop Tents for being on the car also. Like I said, thanks to you guys for putting this broadcast together. You guys did a good job. I had it on my other monitor here. And Jwmpfa, of course, for putting the lead together and organizing this race. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, Nick. Well, congrats on your win tonight. Very good run for you. Dominant performance, and go regain your DraftKings money that you're about to lose tonight. I feel that one definitely. So
yeah, it's been a rough couple weeks. Thanks.
All right. That was your winner from tonight's event, Nick Cohan, and we got one more interview for you guys tonight. And he is right here, Jwmpfa. Cam Rich up here in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys.
All right, man. Well, you came home in the 18th position. Probably not the kind of run you wanted to have in this race tonight, but it was a successful event nonetheless. A really great race from here, and looked really fun out there tonight, and definitely for a good cause.
Yeah, the event was definitely a success. We're looking forward to doing it again next year, and just kind of keep it going, keep it growing every year, and do what we can to raise awareness and to raise some funds for research too. So it's pretty cool. The Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation has been great. They've been a great partner with the race, and we're happy that they allowed us to select them as our charity of choice, because it's near and dear to my heart. So it's pretty cool that we got to do all that and had the Pulmonary Fibrosis tee all on the car the last couple of races as well. So yeah, as far as our run, hey, take 18th and load it up. It was a lot of fun tonight, and really here for charity. So really had a good time with it.
Absolutely. Real quick, just kind of tell us how the race went from your perspective. You started near the back, made your way towards the front pretty well, and then just some issues there at the end, taking you out of the running. But you had a good run going there for a good while, and kind of just tell us how the track did and kind of what you saw through your windshield.
Yeah, the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation Ford Mustang was pretty fast in the daytime. As the grip came up, we struggled a little bit with finding the high line. It took me a little longer to find it than it really should have, but it really just kind of came together pretty well for us there. And then, of course, we had the incident with the 66. I mean, I slid down. I went back and looked at the replay. He had a little bit of room. He probably could have given me on the outside, but ultimately I came up into him and took him out. So got to apologize to him about that one. It's not the way that I like to race at, and not the way I like to race anybody. But we've had a little bit of run-ins the past few weeks over on the Grand National side. A couple weeks ago we had a little run-in. So hopefully nothing there, but. And then the car was still fast. It's just its track position is key here. It's a wide and fast track, but it's very hard to pass. It's very line sensitive, and once it got dark and the outside lane really kind of kicked into high gear, you almost couldn't do anything down low. So it made it really difficult to get back up to the field, and we just kind of ran out of time. Got a little bit of damage there when I think the 26 spun. And clipped us on the right side, but overall, I mean, hey, we had a lot of fun. These are like endurance races to us stock car guys. These are, these aren't your run-of-the-mill 100-mile races. These are pretty long ones, so pretty excited with what we had.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, I know you probably got some shout-outs you want to give and some people you want to thank, so let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go and name every donor because I'm going to forget somebody, and I don't want to do that. So I just want to thank everybody that donated to the cause for us. I want to thank everybody who supported the event, came out and raced, and put on a really good show. I obviously thank my family for letting me do it. It was pretty cool. Came up with the idea around the holidays. We lost my grandmother just before Thanksgiving last year, and around Christmas time, we were just kind of sitting around, and I came up with this idea, and went around and asked a few family members that were really close to see what with my grandmother what they thought, and they thought it'd be a pretty cool idea. So they've all kind of jumped on board, and it's been really cool because you get to relive a lot of the memories leading up to it, and it's been fun.
Absolutely, and I got to say from us here at 3 Wide TV, if I could get my words in the correct order, very privileged to be able to cover this event, and very awesome to be a part of it, and just do all that. It's really awesome to be able to cover a charity event and something that means a lot to someone. But Jim, thank you very much for talking with us, and congrats on a really successful, really awesome event.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait for next year. I think it's I guess I'm gonna have to go back to planning, because the last couple of weeks it's all I've done, and tomorrow morning you wake up and it's over. So we still have a couple more special events this year, but this one was pretty special. So can't wait to see what the second edition is.
Almost like getting a tattoo. Once you do one, they kind of just keep coming, right?
Oh, don't give me any crazy ideas.
Appreciate you talking with us, Jim. Have a good night.
Thanks.
You can definitely hear some emotion there from Jwmpfa after this event, and definitely can see why. But from us here, that leaves one thing for us, and I believe that's results. Coming home with the win tonight, number 21, Nicholas Cohan, came out here, dominated the event, had almost looked like he might have lost it there at the end, but was able to capture that flag and come home with the dub. Come home second, Jared Mogard, after a bit of a tough night for him. He was able to rebound for a good runner-up finish. Greg Stykes might have been the driver of the night. He said he didn't have anything for anything. He's a dirt driver. He doesn't know what he's doing, and led a lot of laps there and almost came home with it. So good run for him. Mitch Brown, no rear end on that machine, coming home with a strong 4th place. Corey Silva, probably disappointed with that run. He was up there, probably one of the quicker cars on the long run, not able to capitalize there in the end, coming home in 5th. Sam Maxwell ran around the top 5 all race, coming home with a strong 6th place. Gregory McDougall, after some issues there, coming home in 7th. Michael Krobach coming home 8th. Nick Curling 9th, and Will Worsler, another driver, probably disappointed with his run tonight, coming home in 10th. AJ.
Richard Stallings coming home in 11th. Troy Haight ended up in 12th. Fernando Matos in 13th, was plus 10 on the day, our biggest mover. Jason Stewart coming home in 14th. Tim Knott in 15th. Sean Music in 16th. Lee Staples coming home 17th. Jim Foose, who we just talked to, in 18th. Billy Wise was 2 laps down in 19th. Edward Bray in 20th.
Coming home in 21st, we have the 43 of Steve Bohala coming home 22nd. 18, Doug Mullins. Daniel Deffler comes home in 23rd. Jack Wells 24th. Bradley Wetzel 25th, and Tyler Seville, unfortunately not able to start the event, comes home in 26th. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. I want to give a quick couple of shout outs from us here at 3 Wide TV. First off, all you viewers, whether you view the live broadcast or the replays, you are what keeps 3 Wide TV being 3 Wide TV. So thank you all very much for what you do. And of course, if you come out and chat in the chat, we love that even more. So definitely keep coming into there and keeping us company and doing all that you do. But I want to give some more shout outs. Sim TV for those cameras that show you these awesome angles each and every week. Definitely appreciate their help with doing that. And Thomas Morris from OCR TV for these graphics packages that really look nice. And they definitely add a nice bit of spice to these broadcasts. A couple of ASRS League broadcasts I want to shout out real quick. Sam Maxwell Custom, Sim Marketing Solutions, Driven Designs, iRacing, Twitchy Race Reports, iRacing, iFlag, Kirkwood Transportation, and Kaufman Racing Graphics. And of course, all of those donors right at the bottom of your screen who you see at the bottom of the ticker. All of you guys, thank you all so much for your donations. We really appreciate those. It's cool to see everybody come out and kind of get involved and get that. I'll go ahead and name off everyone real quick. Sign out with a $10 donation. Nikki Worsler, $5 from her. It's Impossible Racing League, $25. Wanda Watkins, $20 donation from her. Sean Music, one of our drivers in tonight's event, with a $100 donation. So really cool there. Judy Frank, $20. Sandy Foose, $100. Sam Maxwell Customs, one of the title sponsors of the ASRS Series, $90, and the American Esports Association, the sanctioning body for this event, with a $100 donation. But before we go, AJ, final thoughts on the race?
Final thoughts was a fantastic race, and not only the racing on the track was great, but also all these donations and all the actions for these people to help raise money towards the can't say it right, the pulmonary fibrosis cause. The Janet Watkins Memorial Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness 250 ended up being a great event. So I personally want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, and thank you for you two up here in the booth letting me join in.
Definitely. Well, from myself, from yourself, AJ Digby, and from Carlos Costa, who does so much behind the scenes, we want to wish you all a good night and stay awesome, my friends.